my name while you collect your clay. And I wear my sunglasses at night so I can see the light that's right before my eyes. While she's deceiving me, she cuts my security. She got control of me. I turn to her and say, don't switch the blade on a dying shade so low. Don't masquerade with the dying shade so low. I can't believe it. Don't be afraid of the dying shade so low. It can't escape you 'cause you got it made with the dying shade so low. I say, my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I say it to you now. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I cry to you. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses.
All right, what's up, everybody? A little different format tonight. A little bit of a different format. How's everybody doing tonight on this Saturn day? I felt like switching it up a little bit and doing a little, having a little fun, putting some graphics in here. And like I did the last podcast with Ahmed, and I really was digging the screens and the neon. I'm a huge fan of neon, so, but I decided to use that. And here we are. So welcome out, everybody, to another episode of What's Your Question? I am your host, aka your tour guide, Logan. And of course, this is Decode Your Reality, where we kind of explore the very depths of what this whole reality is all about. And asking you, as a fellow decoder, a student of life, a follower of syncretism, what have you, what is it that is on your mind? What are you interested in learning about? Of course, I got all my tools here. I have my cards and my cards and my cards. So I'm going to be taking some phone calls tonight. I'm not going to be going my normal 3, 4, 5, 6 hour marathons, because I'm going to be getting up tomorrow with the group here in Puerto, and we're going to be going out in nature and going to a cenote. So pretty excited about that. So a big shout out to Danny and Santos. Santos is back. If you followed them tonight, and the Syncretism Society, big things in the works. Santo looks amazing. Got to spend some time with him and Crystal and Nick and Daniel today, going to the beach and for a little bit. It was just nice, man, seeing him back in action. He looks very vibrant, very healthy. So big shout out to the Syncretism Society. Please go subscribe to their podcast if you're not. and get involved with what they're doing. Big shout out to, of course, my great friend Jordan over at Waters Above Crypto. If you're a fan of crypto, if you're looking to get started into crypto, head over to Waters Above Crypto and subscribe to Jordan's channel. Maybe take his masterclass. He's got some big things in the works for all of you that are a fan of the cryptocurrency world and all that kind of stuff. Just, being prepared for that kind of thing. And then a big shout out to, Nigel and Harry over at Devil's Playground. Big shout out to Planetary Influence. I just joined forces with Ahmed over in London. I had so much fun doing that podcast with him. We're going to be doing part 2. He's a big fan of the Quran, or at least he likes to decode it. He was raised in that. And so we started chatting about that. And I was like, just mind blown. The numbers and Allah and Muhammad, they all lead to the same sources that I'm finding with the God of the Holy Bible and the Upanishads and all. It's all the same thing, folks. There's no separation. It's just kind of a different wardrobe worn by the architect or architects. It's all the same numbers coming out as the end result. So it's just kind of fun because you can just let go of what we can let go of our preconceived notions, what we think is the truth. We can just have fun, and we realize the truth, there is many truths. Yes, it may have started from one singularity, but as it spread out over the course of this thing that we call life, it becomes many. And as I will encourage all of you fellow decoders out there, make the truth your own. We may be living in all our own fractals. And therefore, the only thing that matters is you and your world. And that is it. And there's no other kind of way around it. So when we take these notions on possibilities, now I'm not saying they're absolutes, but if we are living through our own fractals, well, then it doesn't matter what somebody else believes. All that matters is what you believe. Okay? It's all that matters. So thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I'm looking through, welcome Pam and Lena and 432 Hertz and Michael and Rose and Anna and Smurf 2 Blue. We got some new names in here. Massachusetts in the house. Rose, Valley, Riley, Sharbrinks, Corey, Mira. This was a last minute transmission for me. So I didn't plan this ahead. I wasn't even going to do it tonight. I was like, I'm going to skip every other week, but just decided to come on here and share some space with all of you great decoders out there. Just wanted to have some fun with the graphics, and that's why you're seeing me through. And I just, part of the reason why I'm doing that is because you're looking through a lens that's looking through a lens. We're observing the TV screen or the computer screen or the phone, and that's our so below, and we become the as above. But does it just stop there? Do we just have the seniority, and is it just the fractal stopping at the as above, our as above, or does it keep going? I believe it keeps going. And we end up becoming the so below of something else. And that becomes the as above. The Wizard of Oz, the sun, the moon, the architect, the architects, the Elohim, the magnetism, electricity, whatever you want to call it. So it starts to really get interesting with discovering that perhaps we are living in a multi-dimensional fractal universe. And the only thing that matters is what you believe. And it will end all your division. I'm not saying to not stand your ground on what you believe in. But at what point do you kind of draw the line? And we all have been guilty of being sucked into debates and arguments. And it's our ego, it's our primal, it's our devil that wants to be right. It wants to survive is all it really wants to do. That's really what it's all about. This reality, we build archetypes. You're an archetype, I'm an archetype, and we just want to survive in this reality. And the way of survival is the way of the fittest. So when somebody is not on your same page of thinking, you're programmed to perhaps attack that belief, saying that they're wrong. It was just really interesting. I was watching Danny and Santos just not too long ago, an hour ago, talk about truths and beliefs. And I think, what's really come to prominence now, folks, is we cannot be set in these beliefs. Although like 1 + 1 = 2. There are things like we're actually all here. These are truths that are absolutes, right? But it can be convoluted. But I think the big message for those guys and gals over there tonight, which was my takeaway, was just instead of dividing what you think is the truth and trying to just let people be the people who they are and not try to fight and push and have resistance. And, if you're trying to come and find your tribe, you're trying to harness energy with other people, the very one thing that we all can do is just live and let live. You do you, and I do me. I let you do you by not giving you any division or resistance in the sense of me trying to push me doing me on you, and you give me the same courtesy. That is where you will raise consciousness in a group setting. And we have to be mutable for this because, like if I use myself as the example, you go back to a lot of my old videos when I first started doing Decode Your Reality, and I have another channel that's buried. I can't even find it. That's even older than the one that I have up now. And the videos that are in the very beginning stages of my research career that I put out on the world stage, they're outdated. Things are, in error. They're wrong. I'm totally fine with that. And I have to redo some of that stuff. And you have to be mutable in the sense to where one day you're going to wake up and you're like, well, my God, that's just not my truth anymore. That doesn't work for me anymore. None of you wear the same pair of socks that you had in high school. I mean, if you're in your 30s or 40s, you do not even own the same pair of socks that you had from high school. Not the ones that you wore anyway. That's ridiculous thinking. They get worn, they get used up, you throw them out, you get a new pair. That's what life is all about. Life never sits still. There's no such thing as, kind of not moving. It's always forward progressing, with or without your consent or my consent. All right, so let's get into some of your questions. Transcend the illusion of death and forget about the ego. Okay. Have I seen Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut? I have seen it. It's been a while. I was thinking about decoding that, but it's been a while since I kind of tackled into it. Thanks for all your comments, folks. Thanks. I appreciate all your comments and your love. Much love to all of you out there. Christine, John Steele, Brock. We got some new names in here as well. Robert Francis. Nice to see you. Nice to have you. So, Jorge, what's up, brother? Jorge. There's a guy who I was able to do a reading for, and he's just so interested in diving as deep as he could or can into his consciousness. What the hell am I doing here? I know I am here, but I know there's more to the story. And as this guy, Jorge, just wants it. Those are my kind of people. The ones that really want to know, what the hell am I doing here? I know all of you that are here on this channel, you probably resonate with that statement. Why am I here? Oh, that question. Why are you here? And there, of course, there are different outlets to that. What's up, Ethan? Alex, 113, Michael, Ruth, Cheryl, nice to have you. Mr. Warlock, nice to have you. Appreciate it. So I have some, content. I can make some announcements with the Syncretism Society. If you weren't on their channel earlier today, they're working on their very, very first documentary. I'm in that, so I'm pretty stoked. Very, very grateful, and I feel pretty special being in that with some other great minds, including Santos Bonacci, and that they're working on that. Big shout out to Ricardo, over there at Syncretism Society, kind of a big backbone of the society, the creativeness and, the production and all that kind of stuff. But we have documentaries coming out. Woo! I'm pretty stoked, man, because I've never been in a documentary. So I think it's just fun. Rather than having any kind of acclaim or anything like that, just because you're part of something that is a grander message, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I think if there's a black sheep in the documentary, it's probably gonna be me. But anyway, I'll let you let me know what you think once it finally comes out. I have no idea when it's coming out, but I think it's pretty awesome. Lefkada, what's going on? Nice to have you. Moon Water Ranch, nice to have you. Is there a heavenly mother? Well, I think it's all dependent on masculine and feminine for sure. So define heaven, if we can, these are constructs. So we just think, beyond the scope of this reality. So if we use that as the construct, yes, of course, I think there's a mater and pater in Latin, a mother and father. Notice they start with the M and the F, or the M and the P. The P looks like a F, but it's a broken F is a broken P. Mater, pater, or mater, pater, however you pronounce it in Latin. If it's the M and the P or the M and the F, it's really interesting, for sure. Yes, I'll be taking phone calls very shortly. I'm not gonna make this transmission long. Maybe go a couple hours. Who knows? But let's see. But I will be taking some phone calls. If you are going to call in, please have a point to your question. Make it short and sweet. No life stories. I want to keep the phone calls flowing. I never really get to do that. It seems like I get like one or two people that call in. I don't know, Syncretism side, they got a shit ton of people calling in, but you have Santos over there, so he's a big draw. Anyways, how can you make one effective change from complete isolation to being with a group? First and foremost, you got to make the decision to do it. So if you are someone who resonates with that question about maybe you're somebody who's in hermit mode. I know I am. I've been in hermit mode. Even here in Puerto, where we have all these great people, there's not a lot of people here that are in the tribe of the Syncretism Society, but there are some here, but we're all kind of scattered. And even though I'm literally 3-minute walking distance from Santos, Danny, and Crystal, and Nick over there, I just spend a lot of time alone by myself because I'm constantly decoding reality and I need my space for that. So I am literally living through this hermit card a lot, which is this card, by the way. Remember, in the astrology chart of Western, the tropical, this card right here is owned and operated by Jupiter and Sagittarius, which is the 9th house, operating through the 9th house. So, of course, the great big planet called Jupiter, the biggest planet of them all, undoubtedly gets the smartest card in the deck, which is the Hermit card and the number 9. And we all have this in our charts. Just where is your 9th house? Is your Jupiter in your 9th house? If you're one of the fortunate ones to have Jupiter in your 9th house, it's there by default. And when you have these planets in their defaulted positions, I feel like they're the most at home. It's kind of like when you go home for you, you're kind of, your surroundings, like all of you. If you don't live in the area you grew up in, if you grew up, like I grew up in an area and then I left when I was 19 to go in the military, but I got 19 years of that area. So I could go back there and pretty much I can drive around. I know where I'm going to go. I can drive pretty much with my eyes closed because I know the area. That's home. That's what I mean. So when you have a planet in its home position, it's pretty powerful. I think so anyway. So Ethan says, what is my purpose? Equals 64. I love wasting my time. Equals 64. Yeah, so this is a very good thing to talk about here. And that is decoding words. And not just words, but multitude of words together, a string of words, and getting an outcome. And it's very challenging, because when you use a string of words and you get an outcome, it can match to so many other string of words. Just like single words can match to other single words. You know, I have this funny thing going on my Facebook, and it's those sneaky Masons, and I'm just kind of having fun with that, with the number 33 and these words that equal the number 33. And so I'm like, those sneaky Masons. You know, I just came out with one the other day, because the word mountain, which if you watched my Don't Look Up, the Don't Look Up perhaps is involving some kind of the scriptures and the biblical aspects, and the book of Daniel 2:35, which talks about the mountain being hurled to the earth. But mountain equals the number 33. So it's funny, you know, like, did the Masons create Mount Everest? You know, those sneaky Masons. So, you know, can we just really just rely on the words, or a passage of words to come out to an outcome? I don't think so. I think that's a real bad idea. And we all do it. And I have plenty of decodes that have this embedded in my own decodes. But that's why I feel like you must add or bolt on other areas in the mystical art platforms, alchemy, the cards of illumination, you know, the string of pi, the golden ratio, sine and cosine waves, prime numbers, because it strengthens the story. Strengthens the story of what the real aspects of this code is. Like, there has to be the origin of the code, and then everything just gets pushed into the code. And you got to remember, if you're a decoder, no matter what cipher you use, they all have truth to them, because they all play tribute and use the number 9. The number 9 is a repeater number. And because all ciphers have the number 9 in it, it will generate a truth. So that 9 is like the X factor. And the number 9, when you turn it on its side, becomes the golden ratio. It's the spiral. And the 9 and the 6 become the yin yang, and you got the golden spiral constantly going on. But the 9 is the X factor. That is why any cipher, you can make up your own cipher, and it will eventually lead you to truths, because the 9 is the repeater number. Okay, so let's get to some of your... Charbinks are Jupiter's in the 4th house. Well, you have a big, I mean, depending on what degree it's at, and then what zodiac sign is there. You know, Jupiter being the biggest planet, of course, it's in the house of Cancer. Cancer runs that. It's also defaulted the moon, but the Jupiter's going to expand the 4th house, which is the moon and Cancer, and obviously expand compassion and love for you in your life. But that's just one layer to look at. Then you got to look at the Vedic astrology. So if your Jupiter's in the 4th house, is that the Vedic or the sidereal, or is that your Western? So a lot of you have planets that are different in different positions based upon those ancient systems. The Vedic and Western sometimes will vary. For instance, myself, I am a Capricorn sun, but I'm a Aquarius sun in the Western. So February the 4th is Aquarius sun in the Western tropical, but not in the Vedic. I am a Capricorn sun. And so which is right? Well, both. And if you read Capricorn sun and Capricorn Aquarius sun, if you read those, I resonate with those, and there's truth in both of those descriptions of me. I could just go on and on and on, and you can see it in my life. You know, so where are you? And your rising sign, I'm Scorpio and Libra. So we're a mishmash. We're kind of like mutts of the zodiac, and we have a blending of these energies quite a bit when we go through them. And it's really important to know, you know, the dynamics of who you are and why you're here. So Brock, I see a new method you used and apply it to my code, arsenic and added. Yes, so arsenic and added. So if you take an element like, say, arsenic, it has 33 protons, and you add the weight of it, the isotope, the weight measured in the laboratory, arsenic is 74.922. You can take and add them all three up, but you can take the protons, 33, add it to the 74, and you'll get an outcome. And there's a lot of truth in this stuff, I'm telling you, because the 9 is the repeater. So no matter where you go, you can go into the tarot, you can go into birthdays, you can go to the Gregorian calendar, you can go to the solar lunar, you can go into the Coptic, you can go into the Julian-based calendar. That's why saying that one calendar is wrong or they screwed it up, that's not possible. It is just another layer of this reality. So when we say that's corrupt, you can say that to describe it. But if you scrape away the corruptness, it's still something part of this reality. And numbers encroach. From all the research that I've done, you have the number 364 encroaching into the 365. So you have the solar lunar year of 364 days, and then you have the Gregorian adding the 1 day, the 365, and then you have the measurement of the 364 and the 365. So you can go 365 digits into pi and look what occupies digit 364 and 365, and you're going to have another outcome to observe this reality from. And you may find something that it will blow your doors off. Truth for you that you see. I have found so much stuff I just don't share with all of you because I'm trying to get the foundation laid down. But there's a lot of things that I consider advanced that I haven't even tapped into. Like I was doing the sine and cosine waves, I kind of haven't been doing much more of those, but let me tell you, the sine and cosine waves, they are so important in this reality. Ruth is asking about May 15th. Well, that date's pretty interesting. You may want to look at May 13th, right around that time, because May 13th is the 153. And, that is, the 513. And anytime you see the combinations of the numbers 153, 135, 315, that's going to be tied to the fish and the story of the Christ and the apostles catching the 153 fish in the book of Luke. So, that's the measurement of the Vesica Piscis. So those number combinations, which we call a permutation in mathematics, which is, any number 153, 513, 315 is all going to be kind of linking to the same code. So we can take these dates on the calendar and play tribute to these permutations and play around with them as well. So Daniel, do I think a mega computer is running all of this? Well, it appears that something's running this beyond the scope of man. How are we to describe it? I think the BBC did their position on the book, what's his name's book on The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They ended up making a series out of it, and their fun spin-off was it was a supercomputer, and people come to the supercomputer, and it was basically saying, well, I'm going to show you, we're going to create the earth and you're going to inhabit it, but you're just part of the computer. So I know that's like, people can't wrap their minds around. How do you wrap your mind that you may just be this piece of a computer and the flesh and blood that you can hit and I can feel that kind of hurts, but this reality is so lifelike. But what if we are just living through a bunch of zeros and ones in a binary system? And then we, inside this self-contained system, which I believe we live in a battery, we then start to create numbers 1 through 9 from the zero. And now we have mathematical equations where we get pi and primes and polygonal shapes and sacred geometry all fit under the umbrella of this self-contained system. What's running that? What's running it? That's the big question. So I have this decode coming out right here. And, this is why I pay attention to the things that I watch and listen to. So I turned on a movie last night called Catch Me If You Can. It starred Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. Catch Me If You Can. And it was all about forgery, which is, you can decode, if you want to decode a really heavy topic, decode that word forgery. But anyway, it's the house always wins. And this is something that came up in the movie. Don't catch me if you can. The statement was thrown out there, the house always wins. You know, if you go to Las Vegas, if you go to any place to gamble, you take $1 million with you, just using this as an analogy. And you go to any casino, let's just say you have $1 million. Who do you think's going to come out on top? If you play that $1 million, let's say you go to the blackjack table and you play that $1 million, and you got to play until either you bankrupt the casino or the casino takes all your money. Which one do you think's going to happen first? $10 million, $20 million. Casino ain't going to lose. The house always wins. This topic right here goes right back to the yin-yang, duality, and the two emotions that we all have called love and fear. The house always wins. What is the house? Well, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So that was the sneak peek of that. Here's the house. This is brand new. I have not even shown this yet. So you're getting a sneak peek of something I have not shown yet. I actually talked about this with Santos. He was we talked about this a while ago, but folks, it's in the elements. The elements are synchronized with the zodiac signs. The stars above our head, it's synchronized with the sun. And here are the 13 elements surrounding the zodiac wheel, and then, the 12 elements, and then number 13 sits in the very dead center. And it's aluminum, otherwise known as illumination. That 13th element, illumination. Aluminum has an atomic weight of 26, and 26 is tied to the word house. The house always wins. So this right here, in my research, this is the house. Like when you go to a casino, that's the house. This right here, what you're seeing, is the house that always wins. Right here. And I got so much more coming out on that will blow your mind. Because the numbers that are embedded into that, what I just showed you, are absolutely mind-blowing, and they're undeniable once you see them. So I have this decode. I got like 20 slides. I just started it last night, and I'm getting better with getting my slides done. But it's all going to the fear and love and fear. It's inside the house always wins. So I'm going to break down what the house is beyond the scope of what I just showed you. That rules over us, by the way. That's why when you go read about your sun sign, your moon, Jupiter placement, Mars, Mercury, it's embedded inside of you. That's your cosmic blueprint. That runs you. It's not the other way around. I know a lot of you may not want to believe that, but you are being influenced. Now, I know it's a contradiction because you're an influencer, right? Everybody here is an influencer, or you have influenced somebody in your life. Could be something small, could be something big. You could be an entrepreneur, a CEO, a business owner, a boss, a manager. Or you could just be somebody who influences people at work because you do a good job and people look up to you and they're like, wow, I want to know what you're doing. I want to duplicate what you're an influencer. You influence people. But the majority on the world stage they don't want to be influencers. They want to be influenced. As Neville Goddard said, people would rather have the things created than the power to create. Very wise words from Neville Goddard. People would rather have the things created than the power to create because they're comfortable just buying new things. I mean, I talked about this on the last podcast with Ahmed. The average person trades their car in every 3 years. Why? They get bored. That's the whole... They don't do it because they're afraid the car is going to break down. Because if you get a lease You get 12,000 miles. That's only 36,000 miles on the car when you trade it in. I'm going on averages. There's no fear in the car breaking down. No, you're bored with it. So you trade it in. I know the leasing companies have designed it that way, but why do you think they've designed it that way? Because those are the averages. But I can tell you right now, folks, the house always wins. And the house is what makes the rules. And the other statement, he who holds the gold makes the rules. Go put these in your decoding numerology ciphers. He who holds the gold makes the rules. Break down the word rules. Start to get the singular words out of it. The word house is 26. That should tell you. 26 is tied to aluminum. Aluminum is number 13. There are 13 months in the scope of the sun's pattern, making a zigzag shape across the sky. And that forms a diamond shape. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. The sun. And you get into Lucifer. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Question is, what is the Phoenix in The Economist magazine? You're talking about the 1988 cover of The Economist magazine. There are many layers to that I see. A lot of symbolism, obviously wearing the binary number on its chest, wearing the phi, wearing the 21st letter. Let me just tell you, we're on this topic. Let's talk about it because crypto is a big topic. I'm hoping by now, all of you have a little bit at least of that, just in case. And if you don't, well, maybe you need to hear this right now, and this is kind of like a little push for you. And you want it, obviously it's very volatile. I'm not going to give you any financial advice, but would you rather be safe than sorry? Anyways, on the Phoenix 1988 Economist magazine, which I broke down cryptocurrency decoded, I highlighted that. Is the number 10 and then the phi symbol, which is the 21st letter in the Greek alphabet, which is tied to love, by the way. The word love equals 21. I'm going to be coming out with this in The House Always Wins. Here's the 21st card in the tarot, tied to what was around the neck of that phoenix. It's right there. And then when you go to the cards of illumination, you get into this card right here, card 21, the 8 clubs. This is one of the 3 fixed cards in the charts. The 8 clubs, the jack hearts, and the king spades. Card number 21. Those of you that have this birth card, you have the ability to be very psychic. One of the most acclaimed psychic cards right here, because it's an 8. 8 is tied to the sun. 19 is the 8th prime number. The sun forms the analemma shape, which is in the pattern of the number 8. And then when you take the 8 of clubs and you match it with the tarot, because these came after, these came first, you have the 8 of wands. This is card 30. And the word demiurge equals 30. The word Nazareth, like Jesus was from Nazareth, equals 30. Santa Claus equals 30. And the element that is the 30 is zinc, which has an atomic weight of 65.38, which is the 1111. So the demiurge, it's the 4 faces. The 4 faces are on there. The 4 faces are on here. And that's tied to what's wrapped around the Phoenix's neck on The Economist magazine, 1988. The Phoenix. So what does this mean? And Phoenix, Phoenix equals 36. But I can tell you right now, 36 36 is the last number in the magic square of the sun. The magic square of the sun is the numbers 1 through 36. If you add them all up, you get 666. 36 is tied to the sun. 36 on the periodic table is the element krypton. And where was Superman from? Krypton. Superman was Kal-El, Elohim, the El. It's talking about the sun. Krypton. 36. Phoenix shall rise again. 36. When it says the phoenix shall rise again and it's tied to the sun, what do you think it's referencing in cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency will be backed by gold. The sun is gold. You just got to use your common sense and logic. And I'm not saying these are absolutes. We're just talking about ideas here. I can't use absolutes with this. ARG, nice to have you. Welcome to the group of decoders. How does one decode their birthday and their name? If you go to my channel, if you go to this channel and you go to the video, or you go to the home page of Decode Your, if you just type in Decode Your Reality under YouTube, you're going to hit my channel, and the very first video that pops up is how to decode yourself. I made that last year. It's an hour and 5 minutes long. 10 different layers on how to break down your name, your astrology, your human design, your personality type, the whole kit and caboodle. It's almost gotten 40,000 views. I'm coming out with a new updated version of that very soon. I'm working on that. So stay tuned. Those of you that, that is not in your budget to get a reading, this will be affordable for everybody. It's going to be affordable for everybody. Robert, time is not real. Well, I mean, yes and no. I think time is real because our watches say it's real. The watches move and the time on my cell phone moves. So essentially it is real there, but yeah, you're right. Essentially it's a contradiction because the only thing that matters is the now moment. But the past, present, and future, all of that is a loop and it just continually keeps going. It's like a machine just moving through time. That's what it does. It just moves. Red Bull vodka makes you Superman. That's funny. Carl, nice to have you. Jack of Hearts is my card. July 30th. Awesome. Jack of Hearts is, it's one of the 3 fixed cards in the template, the boilerplate chart, which, I've sent to countless people. So you should know where your card is. If you have another card, the Jack Hearts card is a standalone card, just like the 8 clubs or King Spades. So if you have one of these cards, you kind of a rare breed. It doesn't mean you can get the Messiah complex and start looking down upon others and, go into that kind of jive and nonsense, but whatever floats your boat. Burkhoff, is it a coincidence that MLK, Malcolm X, and Guevara died at the age of 39? No, 39 is tied to the sun. It's tied to the sun and time travel, tied to yttrium and Am I familiar with the base 12 versus base 10 numerology? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but life paths, of course. My life path is 9 using it versus 11. That's a big difference. I've never seen the base 12 and 10. I don't know what that is. Numerology, straight up, you just add your birthday up and you get your life path. Some of you have master life path numbers, which you're going to have 2 at that point. What's up, Bobby? Nice to have you. Another great Aquarian in the house. What's my favorite sign? I don't have one. I love them all. I love all the signs. I really, really do. I don't really favor, just like numbers. People say, do I have a favorite number or favorite card? Nope. I think they're all amazing. They all have pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses. So I don't really, even with the tarot cards, when you get to know all of the cards, all 77/78, you realize that they all have a ton of pros and cons and good and bad, and as we call it that. So I just don't think that I have any favorites. Ben Martin, what do I think of sexual tantra? Well, that would be a question you'd want to ask Santos. I haven't really practiced it, so couldn't give you my take on it. But that would be a question for the Syncretism Society. I think it has a lot of merit. I think there's a lot of power in abstinence and stuff like that. So yeah, but other than that, I haven't really. I think if you're gonna go and do tantra, you want to take a course and get taught that, because that's like a very specialized area. And if you feel like it makes a difference in your life, if you feel like it's gonna raise your consciousness, then go do that. It's all about leveling up in this reality. So you want to raise your consciousness. How do you raise your consciousness? Well, for a lot of us, we don't have to go towards specialized layers. We just need to work on it. We just need to get rid of our dirt. That's it. And stop being an energy predator. Stop looking for validation from other people. But I'm scared holding in would hurt me. Well, you got to go with your intuition. I would just suggest that you go into some meditations, go for some walks in nature. Don't try to figure out in one day. Don't try to force anything. And maybe get some books on the topic. Look, I have different takes on it. I know people that have really high sex drives, and then that's just the way. Are you going to go tell them, no, that's not the way you are? That's something you programmed. I got people that I know that were kind of born with it like that, as far as they can remember. And holding back is it hurts, or it doesn't feel right to them. So who are we to say that's not the right way to go? So we can't do this stuff anymore. We can't continue to say my way is the only way and your way is not, because then you become a judger. And who says that you're the boss? Because you're not. You're the boss of your life. Just continue to be the boss of your life, yours, not mine, not anybody in the chat room, certainly not anybody in the groups that you hang out with or follow. You're the boss of your life. So whatever works for you, it's solely up to you to make these decisions. Don't be asking people's opinions. Hey, what should I do with this? Pulling cards and asking questions, and this is fun. This is about what's your question. But ultimately, the decision should come down to you saying, well, it's not because it's popular. A matter of fact, I'm just going to tell you that I'm siding with the great poet Oscar Wilde. He said everything popular is wrong. I kind of side with that. Once something becomes grandiose and popular, it has a higher percentage of becoming infiltrated and becoming corrupt. Because there's no such thing as a 5-star rating. You may throw a product up on Amazon, and for a few months you may have a 5-star rating, and you're all happy about that. But it's not going to last, because there's going to be somebody that's going to come along that is not going to like your product. or like you, or like what you have to put on something about your graphics, or something they're not going to like about it. And they're going to rain on your parade and you're going to lose your 5-star rating. Are you going to get mad about that? Are you going to get bitter about that? How do I feel about Taurus? I think Taurus is amazing. I mean, Taurus is tied to the Taurus fields, linked to the number 2. Of course, Venus runs that, because if you look at Venus and the Taurus, the bull, the head of the bull, it's a direct match to the female reproductive system. So it's obvious that this has a lot of power. Taurians, I have Taurus in my Western, I have it in my 6th house, which is tied to my 3rd eye. So, where do you go with something like that? Where's your Taurus at? I think Taurus is, loyal, dependable, reliable. Essentially, every single zodiac sign in the wheel is you. That's why when, if someone says, the buzz now is like, oh, I have my sun here and my moon here. Okay, great. But where's all your other planets? It's not just the sun and the moon that has its say on your life. It's all of them. And then it's all 12 zodiac signs that have their say on your life. It's multifaceted. Then the degrees at which they're at in these signs. Then when you're done with that one, then you got to jump into the Vedic if you're a fan of the Western, and you got to start reading from what they have to say. Then you get into the Nakshatras, which I absolutely love and adore. And then you can get into the more meat and potatoes. You can get into, the sextiles and, the squaring. And I think that is just, personally, I think that's really kind of watered down. If you just study the basics of astrology, what planet is where, the degrees, is it a baby planet? Is it a senior citizen planet? Is the planet in its prime? Does it like being where it's at? Is it in a defaulted position? Who's it hanging out with? These planets are like personalities. So like when I do a reading, I call them it's your team. You're the coach, and you got to coach your team. And you ain't changing. Like, you can go yell at the sun all you want. You can go out there and yell at Jupiter. You can yell at Mars. You can go up there and yell at the stars. They ain't going to move for you. They ain't moving for you. So if they're not going to move for you, you got to work with it, that kind of energy. And we know they rule over us. If you're a fan of the stars in astrology. The house always wins. That's the as above. What do I think of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth? Amazing. Awesome information in there. I mean, that's all I can say on that. Awesome information. I got friends that are going to be going to Egypt. That's how strongly attached they are to the Emerald Tablets. If someone healthy dies at 101, what is the probability they open a portal? I couldn't answer that question. I'm not sure. Yeah, we got some Yaldabaoth in the house. Yeah, Yaldabaoth is a really interesting character. I was on a kick for a while because I was decoding Yaldabaoth, and obviously, if you haven't seen my Vatican Decoded, I mentioned Yaldabaoth running the Vatican, the Gnostic demiurge. The lion head with the worm body. Is that the Yod? Is that just the Yod? Is that just the source energy? Does it run the archons? Are the archons just the planets? 29 is tied to copper. Copper is tied to the Yod because the Yod equals 63 in the English. 63 and 64, depending on how you spell it. 63 and 64 is the weights of copper. Copper is the 29th element. 29 is the 10th prime number, and the letter Yod in the Hebrew is the 10th letter. So the Yod and Yaldabaoth are completely connected. They're just directly connected. What does it mean if Taurus is first house and it is ascendant? Well, you just have heavy Taurus. You got to go study this stuff. If you have Taurus in the first house. If Taurus ascendant, that means you have Scorpio as your descending, and that would be tied to The number 8, of course. But what planets are over there? The 7th house, the 6th house, where your descending is in the Vedic, is a pretty important placement because that is where you're going to find links to partnerships. For those of you that are single looking for partnerships, these are cheat sheets. They're not solidified in stone where you're like, oh, I have to go meet a Gemini because I got Gemini in my 7th house. No, it's also the descending. It's just a line that goes straight across, and it separates, a lot of it can separate a lot of things. But it definitely has its say in house number 6 and house number 7. Have I ever heard of the Earth having a second moon? Well, I haven't seen one. I've heard that before. Some say it's Rahu. Maybe. It's possible. We had a caller. I can't remember her name. She said the moon was once the sun. It's really interesting. Really interesting concept. Do I have plans to decode the metaverse? I have. I'm working on it. Meta and Facebook. Yep. Christine, can you tell us what planets rule the chakras? Well, that's going to be up for debate, but I want to you got that. That's a good question, Christine. So someone had challenged me. I'd mentioned this on my last podcast with Ahmed, and as they should, right? I said that as they should, because that's how we grow. But I don't have this high-powered Hubble telescope looking into space and figuring out the mathematical equations on the planetary distances. I don't have that kind of, technology. Neither does I would imagine neither does any of you listening to this podcast. So all we can go on is what we're told, and then common sense, and then kind of playing around with it. But Jupiter is really an interesting planet because it has the great red spot on it, which may match up to the 6th chakra. And if we're told Jupiter runs the 5th chakra, which is the throat, which is all about speaking magic spells, which would be the creator, because a lot of people think Zeus is the architect, Jesus is the architect. If you're a fan of The Good Place, that show, it was all wrapped around Michael, who was played by Ted Danson. He was the architect of the earth. So is Jupiter speaking the spells? Or are we living inside of the third eye, which is Jupiter, and the biggest planet gets the third eye, which runs the pineal gland, and then Saturn gets the crown, the father of Jupiter, and of course Saturn wears the crown, it's the rings, and in Judaism, the 7th day of the week is Saturday, Saturn's day. Today is the 7th day of the week, the crown. And Judaism, we know, pretty obvious, that their big boy is Saturn. Saturn is the God, the Tetragrammaton. It's pretty obvious. Now, if somebody is in Judaism that doesn't think that's accurate or correct, well, I'm all ears. Send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and show me some other information showing that that's not what the consensus is with Judaism. Which again, if you look at the King James Bible, in the very dead center at the very top, there's the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh in between the sun and the moon with the dove coming down. So you got the sun and the moon, and then you got the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, which is that Saturn? So is Saturn running, is Saturn the earth, the moon, and the sun, is that forming the diamond shape? Is Saturn kind of running earth? Or is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh Sirius? It can also be Sirius. That's also possible too. Sirius is 16, so... But that's the lineup. Jupiter may be the 6th, Saturn may be the 7th, what's number 5? Well, in astrology, the 5th house is ruled by the sun. So the sun would be here. The sun, the architect, sun would be 5. What would be 4? Well, maybe Earth's there, because the sun's above the earth. And of course, Jesus is always pointing, a lot, well, not always, but the Christ, the pictures and the drawings, and he's always pointing to the heart. And heart is a anagram for the word earth. And it's, so is he talking about this? And is Jesus just the earth? Maybe Jesus is the earth. and not the sun. And the zodiac sign around his head is just the zodiac sign that rules over the earth. And the Christ is the earth. That's possible. So the earth would be 4, which is the cube, which is this. The earth would be the cube in a roundabout way, kind of give you a visual. And then 3, the solar plexus, would be Mars, and then 2 would be Venus, and then 1 would be Mercury. Something like that. But it goes out of order when you do that because Mercury is supposed to rule the first house. I mean, supposed to be the closest to the sun, but yet if we put him in the first house or the first chakra as the root, the sun is, 4 layers deep from Mercury. So it's very challenging to figure this stuff out and solidify and say that is the absolute. That's why there can't be absolutes. Other than, 1 + 1 is 2, right? Is that an absolute? As soon as somebody challenges that, it no longer becomes an absolute. It may be absolute in your world, but not in theirs. What are my thoughts on reincarnation? Well, I've covered reincarnation quite a bit. If you watch my Prison Planet, 42 Decoded, just go watch those videos. 42 Decoded, especially 42 Decoded. I covered reincarnation. Prison Planet 3, Prison Planet 2, Prison Planet 1. All of these I showed through what I feel to be the incarnation process. And just to kind of go back once again to the upcoming decode of The House Always Wins. The House Always Wins is based off of these 2 cards right here. The 8 clubs and the 3 clubs. Why? Because the house is made up of love and fear, which is what we're made up of. You live in a house that you use for support and structure. Call it home. It's my house. And love and fear are these 2 cards. The 3 clubs is the 16th card representing the word fear in numerology. And then the 8 clubs is the card representing or the word of love, which is 21. So you have love and fear. This is love and fear, both clubs. And the third of the 3 clubs, the number 16 is tied to the word hell. So we know that this card right here, which I've shown in my Lucifer's Decoded, and this is the 16th card in the deck, and this is Thomas John Ellis' birth card, who they casted to play Lucifer. I mean, how about that? I mean, what are the odds that they cast the guy to play Lucifer, who comes to Earth from hell, and he has this as his real birth card, October 17th, Thomas John Ellis. Representing the word hell. Hell equals 16. This is the 16th card. This is fear. Fear is 16. Hell is 16. Fear is 16. It's all right there. And then the counterpart is love. 8 clubs, which I showed, is the world card tied to phi, the golden ratio. So you have the golden ratio and you have the pi. So we live on the perfect circle, which is hell, and we're all creating the emotions, the emotional feedback, but it's the 3 and the 8. And when you bring these together, you get the 83 or the 38, the mirror of that, which is the 1111. But this number right here, 83 tied to the element bismuth, and the number 208 tied to lead and tied to architect. But this 83 is tied to the sun, the moon, and the earth. It forms that triangle. It forms the triangle. That's what it does. The 8 and the 3. It's really interesting. What are my thoughts on Alexander the Great? I haven't done any decodes on Alexander the Great, so I don't really have any feedback on that. I'd have to go look at Alexander the Great and go dive into that. I have not done that yet. You are Christ? Yeah. Folks, it's the best way I can describe it is the house always wins. You ain't gonna win. And I know that's a sound off from me saying you can win the game of life by being neutral, but at the same time, it's love and fear. How do you minimize that? I mean, we don't know what's beyond the scope of this reality. We only know this reality. And no one has ever died and come back and had absolute proofs that there is something beyond this that they can tell you what it's going to look like. We have these theories, like people say, don't go to the light. Well, who came up with that? And then, there's probably truth. Don't go to the darkness too. There's going to be truth in both of those. Personally, I'm at the point now, and this may be subject to change, is to not have any attachments. Neutrality, slightly alkaline, just like the pH scale, just like the blood, slightly alkaline, which is service to the world, slightly service to the world. That's law one, material and raw. Slightly service to others, 51%, 52%. Slightly love. You're going to have fear in there. We all have it. But being neutral. And neutrality to me is what wins. Being in the gray. It's interesting because in the brain, you have gray matter. It's called gray matter. And off of that gray matter forms a Y-shaped. And the name of those roots are called the dorsal and ventral root. They split the gray matter. Think about what I'm telling you. Gray matter, gray is neutrality, the brain. And then it has a splitting off point, and it goes in the shape of a Y, and it goes dorsal root and ventral root, which those equal the number 46, which is a direct match to the words Jesus and Lucifer. 46. Tree of Life, 46. 1937, 46, which is the loop that we may never get out of. You just change avatars. Nigel in the house. What's up, brother? Yeah, I know some people call it the pineal gland. I call it the pineal gland. That's how I pronounce it. You can pronounce it both ways phonetically. If you stare at the word pineal, you can do it either way, and they're both right. I have found pineal is the best expression, the best breakdown. It's 2 syllables. It's 914. 914, which is 95, which is the am. 95, anytime you see the 95, it means the am. The I am that I am, it's the am. 95 is the element Americium, which is the am element. It's the I am that I am. 95, which is going to reduce down to the number 5 because 9's the repeater. So what is 5? 5 is us. We are the 5. That's your identity. And when you form with another, a female or a male, you now have 5 and 5, 55. So it gives a different meaning of it. But we are 5. We are the pentagon. Or the pentagram, excuse me. The 5-sided polygonal shape on soccer balls, the most popular sport in the world, by the way. The black pentagon. 5-sided. 5 is ruled by the sun. 5 is Leo the lion, the king of the jungle, the dragon in the Chinese. Most revered animal in all of the Chinese culture. The dragon, 5th house. Rules the throat. So the sun may run this, and Jupiter may be planet number 6 right here, and Saturn may be number 7. That can work. Those lineages can work. Have you read Nietzsche? Yeah, I can't even pronounce Nietzsche. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Yes, I have read some of his stuff. He's a philosopher. I like his stuff. What is my email address? decodeyourreality@gmail.com. My email address, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Please go on Tinfoil Hat. You're talking about what Sam Tripoli. I actually was in it on his set. Santos last 2 years ago, February. Santos did a podcast with Sam in LA. When I was living in LA, Santos came there, stayed with me, and I was fortunate to go in the studio, and it was a good podcast for Santos. He crushed it. So I got to meet Sam. He's a really nice guy. I think he turned his channel off on YouTube or something like that. What if somebody gets a brain injury that shreds their gray matter? I don't have an answer for you on that. I wish I had a better answer on that. I think that the body and the brain are very adaptable, but nonetheless, I think it's the pineal gland that is the crown jewel of the brain, and that's kind of the implant, if you will. I showed this in my Random Thoughts number 10. If you're interested in this topic, implant was one of the topics of Random Thoughts. And it's where we take 7 different topics or 6 different topics and kind of decode them all. And implant was in there. So if you're interested in that, check it out on Random Thoughts number 10. It's one of my last ones under my video section. Is Stonehenge pie shaped? I don't know. I have to go look at that. Hotel California. I actually started to decode that a while ago. One of the probably most requested songs. Actually, I'll just check. Let me see what I can. It's a 56, so that's lights, camera, action. Anytime any of you decode and you see the 56, lights, camera, action. 56. It's the light being swallowed, coming down here and becoming physical matter. You want to talk about the prism and light going into the prism and then expanding and being stuck in the prison, which is a prism. 56. Are we the aliens of the future with an upside down smiley face? Maybe. Are we time travelers? Did we send ourselves here? Maybe. You know, if you haven't seen my Don't Look Up, I was fascinating because for some strange reason, or as the code would have it, right? I'm so tied to Trump. I never met the dude. I don't know who, really, never met him, but I'm in the code. I'm tied to the dude. His birthday is June 14th, and if you use your birthday, most of you have 2 days on the calendar because you have the common year and the leap year. Trump being born on June 14th is the 165th and 166th day of the year tied to the Tetragrammaton. So if you add up 165 and 166, you're going to get 331. And that's directly tied to my birthday because of how many days are left on the calendar. It's just... It's ridiculous, the connections I have with that dude, which I don't really bring up, right? I mean, there's a lot of things I don't show all of you because it's not about me. But if I did, you'd probably start laughing like I do. That's all I do is laugh. That's kind of off to what's my workout routine. I'm very consistent with my workouts. I eat very, very clean. I'm plant-based. I'm mainly 95% of my food intake is vegetables, fruits. I love grapefruits in the morning with yogurt, but my workout routine is I'm very consistent. I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week religiously. I don't own a car here in Puerto, so the gym is like It's about a 35-minute walk in the north side of town. So I take a taxi into the gym, and then I do my cardio. I do 25 minutes of cardio on the stair mill, the rotating stairs, right around level 15. And then I do my workout, which is all circuit training. I have a lot of injuries because I used to be a lot bigger. I used to compete, be on stage and all that stuff. And it's just, I can't do it anymore. There's really nothing I can do these days that doesn't like tell me that it's like in pain. So it's challenging, but I push through. I go really light now. I do high reps, usually 13 or 15. I was born at 1:03 in the morning, so the 13 is very, very sacred to me. So I try to wrap my life around it. I mean, you want to talk about being conscious of your code. I do 13 reps a lot of 13 reps. I moved into a building number 15 just a month ago, so I do 13 or 15 reps. I feel like getting in tune with these numbers is important. And I just do circuit training. I'll do 3 different exercises, and I'll just do nonstop. And my workouts are kind of the best ever because I'm not going to crush the iron anymore. I'm not lifting super heavy weights, lightweight, just get a good pump. And I'm in and out of the gym, including cardio, in about 40 minutes. And then I walk back. So I'm probably doing between the stair mill of 2 miles and my walking back. I usually get about 5 miles, 4 or 5 miles of cardio, 5 to 6 days a week, plus my circuit training. So I have, very low body fat. I've always been that way my whole life. I was always been really lean, a skinny kid, had a hard time gaining muscle. But, I think diet or the food, the kitchen is really where you're going to get lean. If you have any extra weight on you, just start looking at what you're eating. I can fix anybody with weight issues, unless of course there are other factors involved, like thyroid issues or metabolism issues or something like that. You may have heavy metal poisoning. There are many different intangibles to play around with, but that's my long answer for my workouts. Yeah, but it's really important. And thank you for the comments. I take care of myself. I always have. I've been working out since I was 16. And I turned 49 in February, so I'm getting to 50, but I stay I'm very consistent. I've always been very disciplined with my food, became certified in nutrition. Before I got into the mystical arts, I helped a lot of people. I used to be a trainer. I used to own part of a Gold's Gym in the Bay Area a long, long time ago. So I've been a gym rat. I've competed. I've won competitions. I've trained a lot of people. I was in the ego, the primal. It's all primal. Right? It's all primal. Well, I shouldn't say all. I shouldn't say absolutes. So I retract that. Much of it is primal. Now it's just a matter of prevention. Because my body doesn't work like it used to. And let me tell you, you want to talk about busting the ego and busting the primal? Like, what do you personally, I would challenge anybody, like, what is it something in your life, ego-wise? What's your primal just driving in you, wanting to stay alive? For me, it was like, I used to be, I don't even know what I weigh because I don't weigh myself. I used to be 30 pounds heavier and I looked the same. So you can imagine, how big I was, right? I was a big dude. I'm 6 foot even. And I was like 220, 225. Back then I was taking testosterone, doing the whole bodybuilding regimen, eating a ton of meat, a pound of meat a day. I mean, I was straight up carnivore. A lot of acids. But my life was different back then. And then having to, when I went full vegan and my life crashed. I got anemia, thought I was having a heart attack because I had less blood going to the heart. Because that's what anemia is. Didn't know what was going on. Had nothing wrong with the heart. Did the whole running on the treadmill. Everything came back squeaky clean. Trying to figure it out. And I just realized, like, they had this discussion. This guy called in on the Syncretism Society asking, what's the best protocol to transition into a plant-based regimen? Well, I'm not a doctor to tell you, but I would tell you to do it slow. Don't just quit cold turkey. And there is, in my personal opinion, there is something to the blood types. So know your blood type. And if you want to transition, so I'm 95% plant-based. And, for me, I'm not plant-based because of the health. I'm plant-based because I love animals. That's why I do it. Because of my ethics. Because I love animals more than I do people. I'm the guy walking down the street now and I'm looking down at the street making sure I don't step on any insects. That's my life now. That's me though. So I do it because of ethics. And there was a time when I, how did I counteract my anemia? Well, I had to start taking a B12 supplement. If you're a vegan, if you went vegan, there are exceptions. But for me, I had to supplement with the B12. I still do. I take a B12 every day. See, if you think about it, if you look at history of mankind, do you think 100 years ago they had a B12 supplement? I doubt it. Different cultures, different ways of life. We're transitioning into different realities now. Why did veganism explode on the scene? Because it needed the planet's out of balance. That's my opinion. Not everybody fits that mold, and we certainly shouldn't be judging people that are not. Because when you judge somebody that's not, you are no better than for what you're doing to the person judging them just because they're not doing what you're doing. It's just as bad to judge. So just live and let live. So to counteract the anemia, B12 supplement, and then, I researched high and low using my ethics as my foundation. And it was my mom who I was staying with my parents during when the big pandemic hit. I got stuck on the East Coast at my parents, which was totally cool with me. And my mom spending time with my parents. My mom's super smart. She says like, hey, have you considered eggs? And I fought it because number one, I hated eggs. I was a pancake kid growing up, didn't like the taste of them, still don't. So I started to study the egg. And this is me now. I'm certified in nutrition. I didn't even know this. And I studied the egg and I realized inside the egg you buy at the store, there is no animal in there. There's no embryo in the egg. The egg gets the embryo after around day 21 when it is incubated. And so the yolk is the vitellis, which feeds the embryo once the embryo is established inside the egg. And that's the so below. And the as above is the sun. The sun is the yolk, the vitellis that feeds the earth. And then we're the embryo. It's pretty simple. So the egg, yes, it's completely acidic, or the majority of it. But you can't just be all alkaline. You'll die. Balance, neutrality is what wins the game. That is in every concept and construct in our lives, folks. Neutrality, balance, pH balance, homeostasis, whatever you want to call it. And you got to figure out what works for you. It's easy to say, well, this is the way it should be until your health gets compromised and you can't figure it out. And then you're desperately doing whatever it takes to get out of suffering. And you'll go against your morals and what you once believed. Some of you will do that just to relieve the pain and suffering. So that's why I'm strictly I strive to be non-judgmental of other people. And it's challenging because we're programmed to be judgmental. So anyway, I don't eat the eggs. I drink them. I don't do it every day. I probably don't do it as much as I should. And I do consume a protein, not every day as well, whey protein, hydrolyzed whey protein, usually with water, or I drink almond milk or sometimes, but usually it's just cold water. And I don't consume a lot of calories, so I stay, I probably don't consume enough calories. But it's challenging when when you're almost hit 50 And you know, your ego wants to just go in the gym and crush it and just get bigger. It was the biggest ego buster for me to drop all this weight when I became vegan. Thought I was having a heart attack, and then slowly drop weight. And here I am. And I've been this weight for a while now. So I'm pretty much now I'm in a maintained stage, and now I can look in the mirror and I'm totally, my primal can look at my primal and be like, okay, I'm cool with that. I battled that for a long time. It was tough. Some of you, and so I challenge you, what is your ego buster that's going to challenge you? What do you got to let go of? It's tough. That primal man just wants to stay alive. So that's kind of my diet. I'm more vegetables. I got like peas. I'm having peas. I love garlic. I love olive oil. Oh man. I'm looking at your comments. Have I decoded Nikola Tesla? I got to redo that though. It's old, so I can use my decoding methodology now. It'll be different. Carl, how do I find out my blood type? We just do your blood panel, and you can request that. You know, and here's a challenge to all of you. When is the last time, because I'm due, so I'm talking to myself. When's the last time you got a blood panel done? Some of you, it's been years, and you don't know what's going on. And the blood is going to tell you the story, a lot of the story about what's going on inside of you. Some of you may be afraid to go get a blood panel, knowing what you might find. But that's not being authentic with yourself. That's not taking care of the temple. Yeah, I mean, I miss... I can't stand the Fox food. Yeah, I mean... You know, there is, I would joke with my mom because she makes the seitan. It's, you know, it's made with wheat gluten, and my mom's really religious. So I'm like, hey, can we have some Satan tonight? It's kind of funny. We have this kind of our little family joke now, but she makes it good. You can make it and it looks like a turkey roast. And if you make it really good, if you get the hang of it, you can start to slice it, and it's a little bit rubbery, but you can definitely dummy it down. You can pull it apart with a fork. I used to eat a lot of pulled chicken. Oh man, I miss it. I miss meat. I do. I'm not going to lie. I'll be authentic with all of you. I love burgers and all that. Now I'm dying to have a freaking Beyond Meat burger. I love the taste of those. They're very close to real meat. I think once you get past, you know, I haven't eaten like meat in so long now that, you know, like I smell it and I still crave it. But I still don't consume it, and you just got to kind of do with whatever you got to do. So again, it's a sacrifice. The Vatican is a bank. Interesting, Max. That is 1,000% true. It is a bank. Blood type changes. I don't know about that. Maybe. It's possible. Could you decode Dr. Maria Montessori? Christine Cook. I'll look into it if I remember. It doesn't. I don't know. I have so many decodes on the shelf. I have a lot of people sending me requests. So I mean, Why would you want me to decode Maria Montessori? What makes her so special? What can it add to, like, I don't even know who this lady is. I would imagine the majority of people know who she is, and why and what should I decode about her? What would be the big thing? That would be my first challenge to anybody that has a decode. I'm like, why do you think I should decode it? What benefit is it going to bring to the world? Not you, because you got to set yourself aside. What is it going to benefit for the majority of people out there? That's the things that I would put in there and look at. The Ben Stone. I've looked into that a little bit. Beyond Meat has tons of chemicals. I don't know. I'm not at the plant when they make it. I look at the ingredient list. I know what's in there, but I mean, are there other things in there? Maybe. I'm not at the plant, the manufacturing plant. Neither are any of you. We just strictly go on what the label says. So I don't know. But I tell you what, I'd rather chew on that than a burger because I know that there's not a cow there. I could not go and kill a cow. I couldn't slit its throat, or not me. I can't do it. I'm too chicken. I don't have the guts, the glory. I don't have the ethical or moral statute to go do that. That's me though. And some people say, well, if you were starving, what would you do? I don't know. Because I'm not in that position. I mean, I can go weeks without eating. I've already tested myself. I've done fasts. I do fasts. I do intermittent fasting all the time. I did it today. I woke up today. I went with Santos and Nick and Crystal and Danny. We went to this beach here in Puerto, found this amazing beach. So we're hanging all out, man. I didn't eat all day. My first meal was at like 6:30. I hadn't eaten since the night before, So I do intermittent fasting all the time. And it's very good for your metabolism. I think it does. Is Satan and Lucifer the same energy? Maybe. I think Satan is just the representation of time. You see, we cannot prove these characters exist only through decoding or a story that you want to adopt and believe. So you would say, well, the Bible says Satan exists. Okay, well, what gives them the authority? There's no way to prove it. We can theorize around it. In my opinion, the closest you're going to come to proving something exists is through decoding. Because you go beyond the written word, like, oh, it's in that book. Okay, well, let's break the book down. See, it's in the script. Satan is in the script. It's written in the script. Absolutely. But is it a real character? That's debatable. There are people that I didn't start doing this. I didn't go into, conjuring, but there's a guy out there. His name is, I can't think of his name, but he has a website called Become a Living God. E.A. Koetting, that's his name. Become a Living God. So I started to study some of the videos, and it's dark. I mean, these guys he's conjuring, it's Belial and, all these, what we call demons. So in their world, they exist. Is there proof that they exist? They think so. Because they conjure them up and it talks to them. Supposedly it appears before them. I don't know. I'm not there. But who am I to say that it's not right? It's, So certainly if let's hypothetically say demons exist, there has to be a counterbalance to that. Has to be. Which means that angels would exist. And then you get into the stories of the origination now of the Jesuits. Not the stuff you hear on other people's channels, knocking them and smashing them, and they're the root of everything, and they're behind everything, which I'm not saying is not true. There's evil in all things. Everything's been, in this dark age, everything's been compromised. Everything has Trojan horses in it. But when you study the secrets, the Society of Jesus now, when they first started doing their retreats, Ignatius of Loyola, when they first started coming into the light, and they had retreats, and you would go to the mountains for 30 days, I think it was, and you would learn about, and you'd study yourself, and the things that they tell you. This is by Wikipedia. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just going by what I read. But it says under the Society of Jesus, they were teaching you that there are angels and demons constantly pulling at your strings. So why would they say that? And obviously that story of what they tell you in Wikipedia is far different when some other people are telling you that they're always constantly blaming the Jesuits. It's the Jesuits. Da, da, da. And I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but I can't prove it. The only thing we can do is use numbers and decode and then pinpoint our truths. Is the zombie apocalypse real? We're living in it right now. So yes, it's completely real. You should decode on the movie Eternals. Yeah, it was an interesting movie. What if Satan exists in parallel universes? It's all possible, folks. But I just think Satan is time. Because time is what kills us. Time is the great decayer. When you come into this world as a baby, you enter into time. And even if you say time is an illusion, which I think to me is ridiculous, it is an illusion, just like everything else is an illusion. But when the clock starts to move, like it's dark out tonight, when it gets light out tomorrow, the clock's going to change. So according to the clock on my phone, time is real. I'm going to be 49 next month. Are my previous years of life, are they non-existent? Are they not real? Is it an illusion? The 48 years that I've been on this planet, are all those just an illusion? Are they not real? Of course, that's ridiculous. Of course they're real. But time is the great decayer. It's the great grim reaper. Because as you go from a baby to a senior citizen, you decay. And that is time. Time decays everything. Elements on the periodic table, they have decay rates, they're called. And it's moving through time. Bible teaches love, a multitude of sins, so just love, and it's all good. Yeah, I mean, you don't even need a book to live a good life, to live that good life and live a matter of love. I don't need to put my faith in something, character. I have no idea where it came from. Folks, if you really kind of look at this, if you took off and scrubbed your mind of all beliefs, would you just wake up one day and say, yeah, I'm gonna go kill somebody today? I'm going to go be a dick for the rest of my life. Would you? Come on. So we don't need to go eat a wafer, drink wine. I'm not saying if that works for you, go do it. But it's a tricky business. I'm super grateful for my life. I encourage all people to be a gratitude junkie. I'm constantly looking around, making sure I'm not killing animals. I don't eat animals. I'm doing my fair to be a good person, and I'm not following anything or putting my faith in something to try to win some kind of salvation game. I've proved in my own life, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this reality is completely scripted. It's predestined. And the name of the game to wake up, in my opinion, is realizing what the hell you're doing here. Using the little free will, I think, that we have to level up. And I believe that the free will is involving neutrality. Just follow the pH scale, homeostasis. That's why the word homo sapien, homeostasis, balance, neutrality. gray. What do I think about the black goo? It's interesting. I was studying, I was heavily involved with that many years ago with the scientist from Germany. Can't remember his name right off the top of my bat, but really interesting guy talking about that black goo. I guess we'll find out. I don't know anything about it really beyond what I've read. See, I'm a guy, personally myself, I got to taste it or touch it or smell it or look at it. These are deceivers, your eyes. Someone sent me a video just the other day of this big red sun in the background of this video. And I immediately pointed out it's fake. And this person didn't know it, thought it was real. That's why they sent it to me. But the sun had power lines going, and you could see someone put it there because the power line it covered the power line, and it shouldn't. It should be behind the power line. The power line should be in front, but it wasn't. So it was a dead giveaway. People do ridiculous, illusionary stuff all the time. They do it just for fun. Put it out there. Oh, let's have some fun and play prank on somebody. It's always being done. So these right here are your deceivers. These are your devils. That's why I say be the best little devil you can be. So when you close your eyes and you go into your third eye and you open this up, that's when you close the outside world off. These are devils right here. Bible teaches caring. Well, the Bible, again, folks, it's just one book. I just did the podcast with Ahmed. I mean, he's a big decoder of the Quran. Which one, if you compare the two, Quran and the Bible, which one's true? If I ask you that question, which of the two books are true? The Quran or the Bible? Which one do you think it is? Let's get some answers here. Just put the word Bible or Quran. Put it there. What do you think it is? Is the moon manufactured? I do not believe that at all. No, because other planets have moons. Are those all manufactured? People say the moon is a reflection of the Earth. Well, does that mean Jupiter's moon's a reflection of Jupiter? Does that mean Saturn's moons are a reflection of Saturn? These other planets out there have moons as well. Are these all to be believed to be reflections or manufactured as well? Come on, folks, when are we going to use our common sense? Right. A lot of you get it right. Together, neither, both. Exactly, both. They're both right. Both of these books are right. They're all right. Every single one of them are right. The Upanishads, you put the Vedas up to the Bible and the Quran. Which one of the three are right? All three. That's what eliminates all division. That's what wins. They're all right. Because essentially each one of them is a wardrobe or piece of clothing for the architect of the world. They used to, if you use your common sense, your logic, there used to just be one religion. I don't know which one that was. Some will say, well, it's this one, it's that one. But let's just agree that there used to be just one. Now there's 10,000. What the hell happened to the first one? People get bored. People need to spice things up. It's just the game progressing. It gives you a choice. If there was only one religion, man, life would be boring. Imagine there just being one pair of jeans for male, one pair of jeans for female. Imagine just being able to wear or buy one pair of sneakers or shoes or flip-flops. Imagine being able to only apply one shade of lipstick, ladies. And everybody looks the same. How boring is that? Folks, we live in a world of duality. We live in a world of challenge and change and suffering and all that kind of stuff because it's part of the constructs of this game. Can I talk about the Ace of Hearts? The Ace of Hearts is the first card in the deck, which is a fire suit, and the ace represents the pyramid, and it represents the number 1. So the Ace of Hearts is typically somebody who is a seed planter, is a fire starter, and is a leader. The Ace of Hearts. And of course, it's going to be linked to love, and because it's got the heart there. It's pretty obvious. All right, let's get some phone calls. Let me get my... Whoop, there we go. And let's see if we can get some people. On the phone. And I'll just, people that are... been here for a while, give everybody a chance to call in. I know my guy Christina, you guys can call in. Just try to give some people a chance to call in and have a point to your question. Have I heard of the numerology group GG33? I have not. Look, folks, I'm going to be straight up, man. The Bible is Taurus. It's Taurian energy. The second sign, Taurus, the ox, Bible, Taurus fields. It's tied to Taurus. Bible, the Taurus has the two, it's the 4-leaf clover. It's got the infinity symbol running longitudinally and latitudinally. It's the Bible, the bull god, tied to Scorpio. I call Frank Rizzo. I love the Jerky Boys. I did for a while. Well, the 10 Diamonds card is the 36th card in the deck. You should go read about these. You'll be able to learn a lot more. I don't have all these cards memorized, but the 10 Diamonds card is the card of fortunate blessings. So you're given the aspect of becoming fortunate in your life. Tom Brady, Michael Jackson, Prince, Richard Michael Pence. These guys have, and gals have the 10 Diamonds. So I'm not saying your life is going to be a ticket to fortunate blessings, but it should be. So if you resonate with, and you got to be authentic with your life, folks. Scrub away your programming from your past. Maybe you were raised in a very poor upbringing, a lack of money, but you got the 10 Diamonds card. How do you and money's important to you? Then go make it a priority. Just don't let it consume you. But it's the Fortunate Blessings card. 10 Diamonds, 36 card in the deck, 36 tied to Krypton. Krypton's tied to the sun. 10 Diamonds tied to the sun. Sits in the Jupiter line. It's a Jupiter card. Jupiter's the largest planet. When Jupiter comes in one of the houses, it's going to give you benefits. It's a beneficial planet tied to the sun. And the sun may be the son of Jupiter. I'm an 8 of clubs card. What does that mean? Go look at it. It's allthecards.com. Here, I'm going to pin this website. All right, so I just pinned the website at the very top of this chat to go click on the link of it'sallinthecards.com, and you can click on that website. You can go click on your birthday and go read about your card, because you're going to be able to find so much more information on that website and more definitives than what I'm going to be able to tell you, just to keep it flowing, all of you. And I would suggest go memorize that passage. So the phone number I put up on the screen is a WhatsApp phone number. You cannot dial. This is a United States-based phone number. I'm here in Mexico. It does not work here in Mexico, so it must be WhatsApp. So if you don't have the WhatsApp application, I actually do have Telegram, or I have all three: Telegram, WhatsApp, and what the hell is the third one? Telegram and I don't know, whatever the other big one is. Telegram. You guys will figure it out. You can call on either one of those, but it's not a regular direct phone number. You can't text me, no messages. If you want to call in, WhatsApp, Telegram, or Signal. That's the other third one. I'm on all three of those. They're all internet-based phone numbers. You got to use one of those to call in. +1 is the area dial code, 808-866-6139. Holly74, I think you had messaged about the dartboard. Really good observation. Top score in darts is 170 tied to the number 35, which is tied to sunglasses and simulation and all the things that I've found. And my birthday is on the 35th day of the year. I mean, you know, was I supposed to come up with this? Of course. That's why I'm coming out with this stuff. Carl, I don't know if that question's me. Can I pen pal? I don't even know what pen pal is. I have WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. Those are the three platforms that you can call on if you want to call in with a question. Somebody says, but Bible prohibits the paganism, mythic, and occult, so therefore it contradicts the Taurus. Well, not really, because the Bible is astrology. I can show you a ton of scriptures in the scriptures that talk about and reference astrology. The Bible is nothing other than astrology. So, of course, it's a big fat contradiction in all layers. The whole entire book is a contradiction. The Old Testament is fear. The New Testament is love. Love and fear are the two emotions that rule over this reality. It's the house that always wins. The house that always wins is going to be tied to love and fear. The Bible's no different. Quran's no different. Upanishads no different. They're all the same. That's why we need to just let go of the division and fighting and trying to it's this and that and this. Folks, the entire book is a contradiction. All the books, they're all contradicting themselves. I mean, what do you think the Catholic Church? Why do you think the Pope walks around with the gold staff and it's got the sun? Because it's the sun. It's all worshiping the sun. That's why I'm not interested in those constructs, me personally. I don't need someone to tell me to be a good person. I don't need someone to tell me I need to put my faith in something to be saved. The only person that is going to save me, if there is such a thing, is me. The only person that's going to save you is you. All right, so we got our first caller. Let's dive into this. 416. 416, go ahead.
We're doing calls.
Yes.
Nice. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Who's calling?
Brandon.
Brandon, how you doing? You've called before, haven't you?
Yeah, probably 3 times, I think.
Okay, wow. Okay. Awesome. Nice to have you,
Yeah,
brother.
no,
What's going on?
So just earlier you were talking about you craving meat and stuff like that, and just making the switch off of animal products. As per my kind of like we've had lots of other conversations, but anyways, I know you don't want life stories. I've been struggling with the whole eating animals thing a little bit, because it's like, are they here for sustenance? Will nature just take care of it in terms of population amongst themselves, and our sentience, the differential between our sentience and like how does eating an animal affect, like, because I know I'm taking lives, but it's like, it seems like you kind of have to, like, all lives take lives to survive, it seems.
It's all predator prey down here.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to rectify like that whole idea in my mind of, just because I know that the way that they are bred and kept in our production system that's really the issue. Like, that's such a disgusting way of things. But just when you made that decision, like, what was that ultimate factor for you?
Because I love animals. You know, I had created a video. I used to do this podcast with my friend called the Healers Project. And I found this video and I created it. It says, consume plants. It was like, thou shalt not kill. That was the title of the video. It's still out there on the YouTube. And it was the opening scene was a cow inside of a steel bin where they kill him. And you had this dude who had the bolt gun, and he's got a smock and he's all bloody. Did you see it?
I've seen it, yeah, and you can tell that it's terrifying.
It goes crazy. Yeah, it knows it's coming.
Yeah, and it's just that, like, imprisoned confinement, and then what's weird is, like, the person executing the task is, like, I've heard and been known, well, it's just people who are desperate for their own survival, so, like, these are just jobs, like, they gotta go work them, but a lot of times they hire, like, ex-convicts and stuff, and killers and murderers, and it's like, they kind of, like, almost get off on it sometimes.
Yeah. There are a lot of intangibles and factors involved, but I think, personally for myself, I feel like my consciousness was raised when I stopped consuming animals. That's my personal experience, right? I felt like my consciousness went up, my ethical boundaries went up, the whole lot for me.
Because I know you're very middle path silver, so it's like, when it comes to balance, then how do we factor that in relative to, like, population control of all life forms, though? Like, isn't that a natural function of the code, don't you think? Or,
well, yeah, I mean, I studied the cow quite a bit. I studied the cow a lot. And when you study the cow, what is its purpose? If you really study animals, and I was going to decode, and I haven't done it yet. There's a great documentary called The Biggest Little Farm. Maybe some of you have heard it or seen it. And it was about a couple.
I have not.
You have not. Okay. You may want to go check it out. But it was about a couple that bought this farm that was run down in California, and they brought it back to life. And they specifically said in there, they have animals there. And the animals, obviously they're being slaughtered. But it was a complete ecosystem.
I would imagine that cows are they fertilize.
Well, yeah, but I mean, imagine no cows ever got killed again, other than them being taken down by animals. And I don't know. I don't know if we even know what that's like, because we haven't been a society like that. Certainly, they had studies of the wolves being taken out of Yellowstone Park, being put back in, and when they were put back in, the ecosystem thrived again. But when they took them out, the ecosystem crashed. So is the human being experience as ugly as it is? And people have to get this through their mind. I'm just speculating on this because we're talking about it. But was the cow designed by whatever created this reality to be a food source for human beings? I know it's ugly what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I want. That's my ultimate question. It's like, is that intentional, or are we just
It could be.
acting kind of,
It
or are we
totally
just
could
being
be,
like,
Brandon. Yeah, it totally could be. We can't rule this out, but that's why I say you got to make the truth your own, and you got to make a decision on like what do you think is the right thing to do, and you got to bring ethics. Most people don't have it and haven't studied ethics. They're
yeah.
not there.
No, I know what ethics are.
Yeah, I know you. No, I'm not saying, I'm not imposing that you don't know what ethics are, but I'm saying is that,
No, I know.
yeah,
But my whole thing is like, I feel like if you think about life geographically in terms of survival, it's like you're gonna have to eat seal blubber at some point, right?
dude, if you go start studying some of these other cultures around the world that don't live in your world, they don't live in my world. They don't know what veganism is. They live maybe up in the Arctic, right? And they've been eating seals and whatever, whales and all that stuff. Go tell them to go be a vegan.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where I find that like almost, because it just seems like every time I come to an ethical decision in my life, there's a contradiction. Right?
Yep.
So it's like that ethical, it's like, okay, so geographically I'm positioned here, and I have the knowledge and understanding that I don't have to, due to my geographical location, I can survive off fruits and vegetables and, less sentient things. Not to say that those aren't conscious beings as well. They're just a different sentience, right? It's just, like telecommunication systems within plant systems, like these things are that's the live living foods, and you're getting those living enzymes and all that. But it's like you're probably getting the same off of meat in a Arctic tundra. So it's like, and you're not going to get fruit and veg in an Arctic tundra. So it's like, I'm just when I debate this in myself, I'm like, so because I'm lucky enough to be geographically where I am, maybe my ethical decision can be, how do I say it? Well, it's available. It's an available option.
Yep.
And it's like, if I have that option, maybe I should take like the higher road, right? Like
there you go. Now you're talking of a higher consciousness that I'm totally in line with what you're saying. Because, it's easy for someone like who's a fruitarian or something, for example, to say, oh yeah, I've been doing it for 2 years. My life's amazing. But dude, I'm not you, man. So they'll be like, they're trying to preach, oh, you can just eat fruits. Well, do you think every single 8 billion, every single person on this planet could go and do what you do? I doubt it. That's why it's not possible to push your truth and say it's absolute. That's all bullshit.
No, it's too complex.
Too complex.
I was just curious as to how you got there in yourself at a point, as someone who did indulge in and was kind of raised in that maybe program or whatever, and then you kind of broke out of it, or you made a conscious decision after coming to your awareness of what you know, and then just making that decision. Because like I know what I know, and that's now a point of contention for me in that struggle of like, I can see that it's not the best option, but it's like, I do also have benefits from it physically relative to digestion and my tract. Like, I don't know, it seems to process better than fruits and veg, but maybe that's because my microbiome was just screwed at this point. Like, I need to reset it,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors. Do you have any heavy metals in your body? Do you have any mercury in your teeth? Do you take a probiotic? Do you take any supplements? Do you take a pre-digestion? There are so many different, intangibles that we can talk about and bring on the table here if you're going to go on a certain protocol. You know what I mean? But it's all going to come down to what you believe in. If you feel like ethically you're not doing the right thing and your little voice is telling you that and you avoid that, I think that's going against the voice in your head.
Yeah, that's just the natural intuition.
It's your primal. You got a primal and a spirit, my friend. Everybody here listening, you have a primal and a spirit. You're feeding one or the other, both at the same time. It's just a push-pull, but it's the primal that doesn't want to die. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, it was losing all this weight. I mean, dude, I've shaved my head a few times. I went in the military and did it with no big deal. I was attached to my hair. I have a friend. She's like, shave your head because you're so attached to your hair. And I didn't want to do it. And then I did it. And man, it was like, she was right. I was like, I felt so different when I did that because I shaved off a piece of my ego, Yeah. So it's really interesting when you go these layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just say, like, I'm definitely, I would say at this point, like 75% spirit. Like I'm super in tap with all of that.
Awesome.
There's obviously that there's that primal, that ego still remains, but it's like I was listening to your talk with that gentleman the other day.
Ahmed.
Okay. Yes. But you were also saying basically like the ego and the primal are necessary functions of our character relative to this existence, it feels like.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, because it's always a push-pull. It's a black wolf, it's a white wolf. It's the wolf. Feed the wolf. So you're constantly...
I try to mitigate the ego as much as I can, but it's like when you do, you almost are worse off in this physical because you need it to do anything, to have your Northern Star, like to have your, if you don't have if you don't have ego, you don't have identity. If you don't have identity, you don't have Northern Star. If you don't have Northern Star, you don't have purpose. If you don't have compass, then you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much summarize it. I mean, it's just all about satiation. So, I'll continue talking about this on the when we hang up. Brandon, thanks so much for your call and your support. Much love to you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah.
All right, I'll let the next guy get in.
Yeah, take care.
Or woman.
All right, take care. So there you have it. So if we, what is your primal though? Well, the next time you have this urge to go get the ice cream in the freezer food section, is that spirit or is that primal? It's primal. So do you have the discipline to say, no, I'm not going to get that? Now, if you haven't had it in a month and you want to reward yourself, I'm not into cheat days. Like that word cheat has negative connotations. I'm more into rewarding myself. So maybe in a 30 days goes by and you haven't had any ice cream and you say, oh, I want to reward myself. Ice cream is straight up acid. It's straight up mucus. It's not good for your body. So why do we crave it? Because we're programmed that way. It's unavoidable. And acid, if you look at the pH scale, the acid is on the lower chakras. And what is in the lower chakras? It's procreation. It's humping. It's sex. Orgasms. Red, orange, yellow, these lower chakras are all satiation. It's acid-based. Makes you decay faster. And when it comes to the taste buds, it's what tantalizes your taste buds. It's the foods that taste amazing. It's the breads and the oils and the pizza and the cheese and the cookies and the sugar and the donuts. And, I know there are going to be people that are going to be exceptions and they're just like, I'm past that, or never were raised in a family with that. So they don't know what it's like. So they're like, oh, I've always had just fruits and vegetables. And that's what I love. Well, that's what you were given. See, I was raised a typical American family, hot dogs, hamburgers, spaghetti, pizza, lasagna, that kind of stuff growing up. Cereal for breakfast, reading the cereal box as I'm eating my cereal. That was me. Pancakes, waffles. That was me. And now I'm not even that kind of same person. Now, when I have cereal or if I do get it, it's a reward for me. And my body now, because I'm hitting that 50 milestone, doesn't work the same way it used to. I can't get away with a lot of the things I used to be able to get away with. I used to be able to sit down and buy a whole large pizza, a big one, and eat the whole thing. I can't do that now. I can. I shouldn't say I can't. I can do that, but I will be completely blasted for it. My body's like, what are you doing? So I'm not respecting this thing. And now that I look back on it when I was younger and I could really do that and I can put my body through that, I still wasn't respecting it. Even though I could accomplish it with with nothing attached to it as far as like effects of the negative source. All right, so I know who this is, Christine. I promise you that. What's up, Christine?
Not a whole lot.
See, I knew it was you. I'm psychic, everybody. I'm completely psychic. That's how I knew that was coming.
Well,
That's funny.
Why doesn't anybody call?
Yeah, I don't know why people don't call. Santos and Danny get like a million calls, and that's okay. Whatever. I don't. Whatever. It's all good. I mean, my show is different than theirs, but it's all good.
Right. But I had to laugh a couple of times because you were talking about time, and I thought, oh, brought into my mind the Pink Floyd song "Time." So I'll go.
Oh, that's a great tune.
Decode the lyrics.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And in Chaldean, it came up 3585, and I laughed because then you were talking about sunglasses.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
And then, like, I'm kind of listening to you and looking at Facebook, and 1995 is when they reintroduced the wolves back into Yellowstone.
What year was it?
And I think 1995.
95. I read the article. I studied it quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I know, and how it really, so I think it went 20 years before they reintroduced them back into Yellowstone. But it changed everything from the small animals to the birds.
Yep.
And why they tried to reintroduce them was because the deer population was getting out of control.
Yep.
And, they were eating everything. The deer were eating, all the leaves. So, the other animals didn't get it. And so the other animals were starting to die off.
See, so it's an ecosystem, and it has to be balanced, and there's no kind of like there's nobody's kind of opinion that's going to change that. We live in an ecosystem, so. But what matters is to balance it out. So, Christine, what's your question, or did you just call to get a card?
I just called to get a card.
I
called to get a card.
I figured so.
But now I know the hawk was trying to tell me to beware or be aware.
Right. Right. Well, you got the coyote tonight, 13, which of course I showed that earlier with the aluminum and illumination and tied to the sun and the round table and all that stuff. So the coyote. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got the book, so you know what to go look for. What does it mean in your life?
I know. Yeah. Oh, and then one last thing about decoding the lyrics of Time. I was like, oh man, I can't remember what the website for Pi was. So I thought, okay, I'll do that later.
Mm-hmm.
My brain isn't so.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to decode songs and all that kind of stuff. But there you go, Christine. Thanks for the call. Always appreciate your support. Maybe you want to start decoding that Time and get me some nuggets back. I've decoded Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, but I haven't broken down the single songs in there and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, all the best to that great state of Washington up there in Mercer Island. All the best to you. Much love. Talk to you soon. Coyote was your card. All right. Take care. Okay. All right. So there we have Christine. She's been with me from the beginning, and I was fortunate to do a reading for her. She got it on. I did her reading on New Year's Eve. She booked hers, and it was fun. She picked it because she was born on the 31st. So, all right, here we go. We have another caller. 818. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Fantastic. Who's calling?
My name is Daniel.
Daniel, nice to have you.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. So,
yeah.
Talking about the veganism and the animals, and it kind of led me down this little rabbit hole of how, as kids we're given like stuffed animals, like animals as pets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good observation.
That kind of like, I don't know, that kind of like made me think like why they would do that, why, humans like make animals pets,
Yeah.
And, I saw this, sorry to cut you off, but I saw this lady, like dragging this dog by the neck with a freaking leash. trying to get it to take a selfie, and it just like, yeah, I don't know, it just blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people, I mean, where do we start? Where do we end? But yeah, that's a great observation. Having animals, as stuffed animals, as we grew up as kids, teddy bears, and all that other kind of stuff. So that's a pretty damn good observation. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question. Just wanted to throw that out
Yeah.
there.
All right, Daniel. Well, thanks for the call, man. Where are you calling from? Where's 818? Is that California?
So, I'm in LA right now.
Yeah, nice. Whereabouts in LA are you? Are you in downtown or?
I live right by UCLA.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, bro.
Nice.
I go to that school. Yeah, just in the area. I'm trying to move out of here low key, bro. It's getting bad.
I know. I got friends that live in LA, so I get all the feedback. Yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure, bro.
All right, brother. Well, follow your heart, man. If you feel like getting the hell out of there, listen to your heart, bro. Listen to the little voice in your head. Don't like put it off. It may be urging you for some other reason other than what you think. So.
Damn. All right, brother.
All right, brother.
Real talk.
All right, Daniel. Thank you, bro. Much love to you. I'll take care. All right. So that's a pretty interesting observation. Did you have a teddy bear? Did you have a stuffed animal growing up? And which animal did you have? Could that be part of your code that you remember? Like I said, I mean, everything you can broke down. What was your high school mascot? Mine was the tiger, which is tied to Jupiter. You should see where my Jupiter and all this stuff. It's all relevant for me. February 1st, we move into the year of the tiger. We move into the year of the tiger. But can you remember back what was your first stuffed animal? What animal was it? Can you remember that? And does it have any significance in the decoding of who you are and why you're here? I get a lot of people send me emails, and I just unfortunately can't answer the questions because they're like, "What does this mean? What does this mean?" And it's like you got to keep going. You got to keep note. My suggestion for all of you that are decoding your life: keep notes of everything. Keep it in your phone. Keep notes of everything you find. Like my high school mascot was a tiger. Put that in your phone or your notes. Because you're going to find connections to that sooner or later. Now let's take another call. 909, go ahead.
Wholeness, Brother Logan. This is Ace. You may remember me as Ember. We did a video.
What's up,
together,
Ember?
Santos, and
What's up,
how you
brother?
doing?
What's up, my man?
Hey,
What is
bro.
up? Of course I remember, man.
Just appreciating you, bro.
Thank you.
I'm really loving your videos, man. I appreciate the transparency and being able to respectfully dialogue with people who are choosing a different path at the moment. And yeah, I mean, I've been exploring a lot on the subject myself, and I kind of wanted to start out with the question of, what are your thoughts on the difference between the heme iron and the non-heme iron aspect of the diet?
Yeah.
Because what I'm starting to think, and I don't have any scientific backing for this, is that potentially the heme iron is more magnetic, and it may make people more sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies because we know iron is a magnetic element.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty interesting. You may have sparked something that I got to check into. I've been studying iron quite a bit, as you know, if you've been watching my decodes. Yeah, and
sure.
yeah, and it's the Iron Man. And if you study Black Sabbath, they had the song Iron Man in 1971, I think it was. There's so many nuggets in that. And the story was the guy comes back to tell people there's going to be an apocalypse. They don't listen, and then he gets merged with steel. And of course, Superman is the man of steel, and steel is an alloy of iron. And so as the story goes, the apocalypse happens and all that kind of stuff. But there is something to iron and it being in our blood and being attracted to magnets and magnetism and electricity, because you're a huge fan of Santos's and follower of him and friends with him. We talk about magnetism, electricity, and dielectricity all the time. And the thing about the dielectric plane, I feel it's the motherboard, and it's positively and negatively charged at all times, which is the angel and demon story. And it's the magnetism and electricity, the mother and father, that kind of polarize us. So there's a lot to be said about that iron, my friend.
Yeah. And also just to give, backing to the transition you've made, I discovered a book that the Essenes have been protecting for millennia called the Megillah. Megillah is a Hebrew word that means scroll.
Okay.
And it purports to be the origin of the Bible, that is
Interesting.
far less filtered through the hands of man and the counsels of such that have curated it in a certain way.
Okay.
And in this book, Yeshua specifically talks about vegetarianism. And he says that the eggs, nuts, seeds, and dairy are for tissue rebuilding, specifically. He
Uh-huh.
calls it the building diet.
Uh-huh.
And then he calls the grains and the vegetables the maintenance diet. It's kind of the energy that gets you through the day. And then he specifically calls the fruit diet the cleansing diet.
Mm.
And in the Megillah, it actually forbids people to push the asceticism of fruitarianism on others, because it specifically says that not everybody's body and spiritual path is in a place where they can handle that level of vibration. It may indeed be the original diet, but if you don't take into account your genetic lineage, the trauma, how long it's been on certain densities of prana, then it actually might not serve you to go to that extreme.
Yeah.
And so I just want to
Interesting.
honor, that you've been talking about going back to eggs, because I think a lot of people explore the veganism and fruitarianism, and then they kind of swing all the way back to where they come from instead of finding the more middle ground that I feel you're representing.
Well, yeah, those are great points. You'll have to send me. Now that I had your number, right? You popped up but I didn't. I thought I had you saved it. Where are you at in these parts of the world these days? You're all over the
I'm in
place.
Bali, bro.
You were in Bali?
Yeah, bro.
Nice, man. How was it there?
Bro, it's the most feminine energy I've ever been in terms of just the energy of the place itself.
Uh-huh.
Feels very receptive, very aesthetically curated. Like the amount of detail in the temples and the sculptures. As someone who studied art in college, I just feel very satisfied on that artistic level, just walking around and appreciating people's communion and reverence for the spiritual.
Nice.
But there's also a fair amount of shadow. They do dog sacrifices here.
Really?
It's actually woken me up at night, bro. Like really kind of strange dark energy.
Wow.
So it's got the balance of shadow and light. But I came here because it's one of the two places in the realm where the masculine and feminine dragon lines cross. The other being Lake Titicaca. And so I wanted to come here because I'm personally looking to come with more of a synergy with the masculine and feminine in my own life. And it's just been a real beautiful validation also because the astrocartography guided me here as well.
Oh, it did. What line are you on your astrocartography?
I'm right between my Venus ascendant and my Sun ascendant.
Oh, okay. That's a nice spot to be in right there.
And you know what? I don't know if I mentioned this last time we messaged, but it also, when you look at the lines in astrocartography, it also shifts where the luminaries are in your houses in your natal chart. And this is the only place on Earth where it's all positive aspects. Like each planet is either exalted or neutral in the house that it's in. So it's been really great.
Very cool. Before we let you go, Ember, some people are asking in the chat box, what was the diet called or the book? Can you kind of lead people in the right direction? So those of us that are interested, you were talking about it. You said the Essenes, which I know I'm familiar with, but can you kind of drop that for everybody to take note on?
With pleasure. If you go to essene.org, ESSENE.org, you will find the Order of the Blue Rose, which is a certain sect of Essenes out of Oregon. They have the first ever English translation of scrolls directly from the Brotherhood of Light in Alexandria, Egypt. First translated in 1997. And I'm going to post in the comments right now and after this wraps up. So it'll be in the live chat and also in the comment section after this is concluded. You'll see my handle, Holarchy, and I'm going to be posting a link to these scenes, but also a direct PDF download. So you can get it directly to computer, start going into it. It's the most amazing spiritual text I've ever read. and it's very unfiltered, and it's not veiled in the overly embroidered allegorical language that we're used to. It's like a friend is talking to you and they really want you to get with clarity what's being communicated.
Nice. Well, I like that, man. All for that. That's for sure. So thanks for the drop, bro. That's appreciative very much.
Much
When
love,
you coming back
brother,
to
for
when you
sure.
coming back to Mexico?
You know, bro, I've been digging this proverb. It says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
That's pretty funny, dude. That's good, man.
Yeah, I'm just listening to Spirit, man, and
Right on.
really grateful to have examples like you to help guide, man.
Thanks,
I really
brother.
cherish the decodes you've been doing, and I really recommend everyone to watch the most recent ones you've done, because you've just been on fire and getting better and better, brother.
Yeah, well, that's just tapping into the code. So thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it, man. All right, Ember, I'm going to end because I got another call coming in. They've called 3 times, but thanks for your phone call, bro. Keep in touch. Drop me a line sometime soon. All right, so
Much
there you
love.
go.
Will do.
All right,
See
much
you.
love, brother.
On this.
717, go ahead. Oh, let me see. 717, go ahead.
Hey, Logan.
Hi.
It is Charvinx Art. Or,
Hey.
yeah,
What's going on?
Hey.
The great artist.
I guess.
Oh, come on. You got to own that space.
Okay, I own it. I just have a question. Like, what's your take on past life regressions, or like, well, you know what I mean, like people like having whatever experiences with past lives and things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had my Akashic reads, my Akashic reads. I've had my Akashic records read. I know people that do past life regression, but here's my take on it. And this is just my opinion. You will gain nothing from it. And the reason why I say that is because let's say you get someone to tell you that you were some queen in a castle in your past life. How does that remotely even come close to helping you in this life?
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Let the dead bury the dead, as Bob Proctor says.
Yeah. But, I wonder if there's like things in past lives that like we didn't deal with that we bring into like the current life.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
I had this, well, first of all, I have like this, I'm like one of these weirdos who like remembers before I was born. Like, like being like in the light before, I could explain the whole thing, but I don't want to like take up, whatever. But I had like this, when I was meditating, I had like this past life thing where it was really weird. I was like I don't know if I was like an Indian, like I mean like an Indian as far as like American Indian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I think I like killed myself in a past life, and I had to like deal with that. And it was like this like huge like emotional purge thing.
Okay.
And the weird thing is like I don't know if I put it together, but I was like born in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Interesting.
And like
So wait a minute, is this somebody told you this, or you had a dream about this, or?
no, like I was like doing like a deep meditation, and I just had like this like weird vision experience of like a past life.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm like weird. I have a lot of visions. But
No, that's not weird at all. I mean, that's just you being you. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, there is those theoretical positions where people, can just say, well, I'm just dealing with karma from a past life. And, if we actually get recycled in, just change avatars, it's very possible, that we're dealing with past trauma carried over into this life, and you got to wear it off. So,
yeah, kind of like I don't know, because like I think I like had a small child, and so in
Okay.
this life I've like had 6 children.
yeah.
And I feel like this is like not like a karmic debt because I love them, you know what I mean? But sort of like, okay, this is my like I can't like leave them. Like maybe I left like the past child, and like, you know what I mean? I don't know, but I don't know. It's just interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. I can tell you though, like I remember before I was born, you agreed to come here. Let me tell you, you like they tell you what's going to happen and you're like, okay. And it's like a stepping stone to where you want to go. I remember this feeling of being like, I heard the word mother. Now I have no idea if that means I was going to Mother Earth or if it meant like my mother was going to die when I was like very young, or if it meant I was supposed to be a mother in this life. But I just remember hearing that and thinking, ugh, that's sad and heavy. But this is what I have to do to get to where I want to go. So I was like, all right. And then they just like, I was like with these like 3 beings, and they just like, and I was literally looked down and I had like no body. I was just like a light ball. And then they just like, I went like through like this, like they were like standing around like this console thing, and the whole room was like super white and bright. And I don't know, but there was no like talking. It was all telepathy and all. And it was, I don't know, it was like really weird, but I've had this memory since I was like forever. And I also remember literally being an infant in my crib. Like, so
that's pretty
I was born like, I was like born like fully like, I don't know, like I don't know. I just remember so much stuff. It's insane.
What's your birthday? Just your month and day?
Yeah, December 30th.
December 30th. Okay. So you're a Hearts card, huh?
Yeah, the Ace of Hearts. I asked that question.
Yeah, you're the Ace of Hearts. Yeah.
Go research myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first card. So, I mean, there could be something said to that. So, but anyway, thanks for calling. I appreciate all your truth bombs that you dropped. That's pretty interesting stuff for conversation for sure.
Yeah, it's like weird. I don't know. It's like fun to talk about. But
totally.
This life is definitely like just like a stepping stone in like our grand journey paths.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing to attach to.
Yep.
Like you said, but we're here for learning. That's really what it is.
Yep.
So that's what I think. That's my truth.
That's your truth. Yeah. That's all that matters. So yeah, that's where we can just have fun with others. All right, my dear. Well, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate you. Much love to you and your family and your 6 kids. Wow. Pretty busy beaver there. All right. Take care. All right. So what's really fascinating about that story, which he was talking about is, if we're living inside of a movie, which I think we are, their movies have sequels sometimes. Is that what's going on? Are you having a sequel? Are you in a sequel? And you're in part 2 maybe. And then you want to go into part 3. And then maybe that's it. Like John Wick 1, 2, and 3. The Equalizer with Denzel Washington 1 and 2. Sequels. Are we living in sequels? Those of us that can remember, I mean, I don't remember, I barely remember anything in my childhood. How about you? Do you remember your childhood? I think it's really fascinating that people that can, like Becca, she can remember, that was the caller, she can remember being as a kid like that. Wow, that's pretty amazing. But that's the big axe with, like, when I do readings for people, there's no, in astrology, numerology, there's no like solidified way to say, yes, you got to be with this kind of person. Now you can get close because typically it's the descending, that area, between the 6th and 7th house of astrology, and you got to bring Western and Vedic into it, tropical and sidereal. So you can come close, and then you can tie the cards in, and you can dial the cards in around what these months of the year of people being born in, and you can kind of figure it out a little bit of who you'd be best served with. I can guarantee you that. But it's just a guide. It's just a guide. Yeah, it could be an actor playing many movies. Sequel. Nice, Max. Sequel. Okay. Currency, yeah. I mean, I think, we're coming down to the nitty-gritty, I think, with this reality. The change is coming. What that looks like, I don't know. And I'm just excited for the change because I think there's all of us here that are anticipating the change. So there's this buildup, kind of like when somebody comes out with a movie. Like The Matrix Part 4 came out. The trailer came out months before the movie came out, and everybody was all like, oh, The Matrix, the fans of The Matrix anyway. So your anticipation of that movie coming out starts to grow, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and then the release is finally here. And the big movies that have a big pull, people go stand in line, sit on the floor for hours to get tickets to see that movie. Anticipation. It grows, it builds. Can you imagine what the anticipation looks like for this, whatever this reset is coming up? Can you imagine the buildup of energy right now around the world from all different walks of life and consciousness? This anticipation of this great change that's coming, whatever that looks like. Man. It's a big deal, man. And we are in, I had proposed that, when you bring in alchemy into all of this, I had shown on I can't remember what decode it was, but it was on the element lead. And lead, let me just double check this to give you guys exacts so I can be very, very dialed in with this. But it's lead to gold. And the boiling point, that's right, the boiling point of lead is 2022 degrees Kelvin. Kelvin meaning the sun. And gold, lead to gold. So think about what I'm telling you. I had come out in a decode on this. I put it in this decode. Can't remember which one it was. It's one of my newer ones. But I showed a screen or a graphic that lead transmutes into a gas through the aspect of boiling at 2022 degrees Kelvin. So is this telling us that it is alluding to the fact that in 2022, you will have the transmutation of souls? You will have the transmutation of what the church calls the rapture. I mean, there are many movies that have come out with this. The Avengers, if you're a fan of that movie trilogy, or now it's 4, the series, they showed the rapture. People just disappearing, being taken off the earth. But I thought it was interesting that lead, the 82nd element, tied to prison planet, tied to 207, tied to the word currency, tied to Jupiter. Jupiter is 27, currency is 27. Jupiter's got the great red spot. Jupiter's the biggest planet. Jupiter's supposed to be the architect. Jupiter's supposed to be the Archangel Michael, which is the Jesus Christ figure. Turning lead into gold, and lead transmutes from a liquid to a gas at 2022 degrees Kelvin, and 2022 is the year that we're in right now. And we're talking about the Great Shemitah, the 50th Golden Jubilee year in the Rosh Hashanah history of Judaism. This year, right now, we're in it. You're in it. And all these New Years, like, it's not Chinese New, it's not 2022 in China right now. February 1st. 2022 enters in the realm of the Chinese culture. And in the Chinese culture, it's the year of the tiger. Now, there are many layers to this because in the Chinese, it's the year of the tiger. The tiger, remember, is the striped animal, and the striped planet is Jupiter. Jupiter is 27, currency is 27. Will this be the great year exchange of currency? Will some of us be going back to another place? Will we be taken off this planet? There are so many different layers to look at this. Is the law one material? Going back to raw, graduating, whatever that looks like. People say you're going to go to 5 density. David Wilcock talks a lot about that. He's a huge proponent of it. Like the guy or not, right? Are you a fan of the Law 1? Law 1 says if you graduate, you're 51% service to others, you're going to graduate to 5D reality. Will you just leave behind this 3D reality and not have to experience the apocalypse, the shitstorm that's coming? Are you going to be one of those that are checked off the list? Will you end up moving from one density to the next and leave this place behind? Is that what it's telling us? Is that the great reset for a large portion of people that will graduate to the next level? In the year of the tiger, 2022 on the Jewish calendar, 5,782/83. I think personally, you're talking about September. Rosh Hashanah, September 23rd, I think, of this year is the 5,783, the year, and 5,783 is the 759th prime number. 59 is the game of life. 7 is endings and completions. You have the 759. Is that what this is telling us? I know it can get complicated. It gets pretty deep. But it all comes down to this. And folks, if you're a decoder, man, I've shown people, start looking at these people's ages that you're decoding. Whew. These are some really tight numbers right now. I mean, I showed in Don't Look Up, Leonardo DiCaprio, 47 years old right now. He's born on November 11th, 11/11. They casted the guy to play Don't Look Up. He Don't Look Up to what? His name's Leonardo, otherwise known as Leo. Leo is ruling the 5th house of the zodiac, which is ruled by the sun. Don't look up. The sun runs the stock market, the sun and moon. So the referencing point of Don't Look Up was, is they telling you don't look at the top of the stock market because it's going to come crashing down? Is there really going to be a comet? The sun, a solar flare? Is the moon going to fall? I mean, anything could happen at this point. And it's inevitable. You're not going to change that with what you say. Or are you? Are you going to change what's going to come, what's going to happen because you're living in your own fractal and whatever you say goes? Whatever you believe will happen. Is that what we're led to? Is that really what's going on? Can't rule that stuff out. So it's the year of the tiger. And as I was saying, with the year of the tiger in the Western, we're in the age, not the year, because the Chinese goes by your year and then, but if you synchronize the Chinese into the Western, the tiger is Gemini. Because the third zodiac sign in the Western is Gemini. So the tiger is what's going to be tied to Gemini. Gemini, perhaps, as I showed on my prison planet, could be the prison that we're in. It's Castor and Pollux, the two twins. We have the two twins inside of us, male, female, left, right, left and right, brain. And if we're moving into the year of the tiger, what does that mean? Moving into the year of Gemini in the Western. What does that mean? Gets really interesting. Remember, the third house is ruled by the ninth, or I shouldn't say it's ruled, but it's a Jacob's ladder, as I like to call it, because you have these houses that work and they have opposing houses. So the third house is opposed by the ninth house. Who runs the ninth house? Jupiter does. So you have Jupiter, that is the tiger, the striped planet, and it's Gemini in the third house. And then the opposite of the third house is the ninth house, which is ruled by Jupiter and Sagittarius. You got a double Jupiter, the 93 and the 39, those two houses. That's what age we're moving into. February 1st, we move into the age of the tiger, and above the tiger, I think is the monkey? The monkey. I think it's the monkey. Let me double check on it. I should know this, but yeah, the monkey. So the monkey, those of you that are monkeys, it's ruled by Sagittarius and Jupiter because Jupiter runs Sagittarius, the ninth house. And the ninth house is the opposing house of the third house, which is the tiger, which is Gemini, which could be the prison planet aspect. So are we going back to that this year? Think about what I'm telling you. I said Gemini could be the prison. Because it does have the prison bars. Those of you that are Gemini with the symbol, it looks like the prison bars. And the 3 is the three-dimensional space, pi, 3.14. The opposite of the 3 is the number 9 in the houses. They just are yin-yangs of one another. And Jupiter runs the 9th house. So you have Jupiter in the 9th, Jupiter in the 3rd by way of the Chinese, and the tiger being the striped planet, the tiger being the stripes and Jupiter being the striped planet. So you get this 93. going on. And what's really fascinating about the 93, when you go to the golden ratio, those of you that have been decoding using the string of the golden ratio, go type in the number 93 in the string of the golden ratio. You know what you're going to find? The number 93. You're going to find the number 93 found at the 93rd decimal digit in the string of the golden ratio. It's pretty deep, man. And then, you get this, 93 million miles away from the sun, and all this is coming back full circle, and we're in it now. February 1st, Facebook comes out with Meta. Their commercial was the tiger chewing on the ox, telling you the Chinese obviously have their hands in Facebook because they're using the Chinese calendar in their advertisements. It's really interesting. Really interesting. Telling you folks, it's just, let me see if I can synchronize a little more with you. I think Tiger is, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and Tiger's 15. So you get the devil card. So it's loose because you can't just say, oh, there's the devil and it's the tiger, but it is. I mean, it's there. And then Tiger's 59 in the English, which is tied to the game of life. But this is what it all comes down to in this decoding world of how multifaceted all of this stuff is, and we can't leave it out. And when we synchronize it and bring it all together, that's what you're looking at right now. You're in a golden jubilee Shemitah year. You're dealing with 2022 and being tied to the year of the tiger, tied to Gemini, tied to the planet Jupiter ruling both the 9th house and the 3rd house. It's just so multifaceted, but when it gets really tight, whew. All right, we got another caller coming in. Oh, we did have another caller coming in. That was interesting. It was a 330 area code. It was a 33 area code. Maybe they'll call back. But this stuff is so, man, what's going on right now? And you got the harvest. Who runs the harvest? In the Shemitah year, in case you're new to the Shemitah, Shemitahs runs in patterns of 7. It's deeped in mysticism and Judaism. And then you have the December 9th, which I showed in my Don't Look Up. December 9th was the simulation of the cyber attack. And they held it in Jerusalem. How about that? It was supposed to be in Dubai, but they moved it to Jerusalem. I don't care what the reasoning was. They held it in Jerusalem, right? And it's nothing against Jerusalem or Israel. I'm just straight up telling you. And remember, Israel equals 15. Tiger equals 15. So we have this cyber attack, this simulated cyber attack on December 9th. It lasted for 10 days, ended on the 18th. And I did the calculations for that. It's tied to March 22nd. It gets really interesting. Let's take this call here. 330, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Logan. It's Susan. How are you?
Susan, how you doing? I love your area code. You got the 33 area code. Where is that?
It's Ohio.
Ohio holds the 33 area code? Wow, I got to go and start digging into this a little bit. Okay.
Oh, you would freak out. You've changed my life. I just have to tell you.
Oh, thank you
so much.
Well, I didn't change your life. You changed your life. Well,
you kind of
I influenced you maybe, but you did all the work.
You did.
Yeah.
Well, I just have
but
to
thank
say
you.
that it's just been amazing, but it's been scary too. I got a little, a lot of the stuff when you go down the road, you get a little, the synchronicities, and it's very unnerving. The 33 because Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm right by it.
Oh, that's right. You're by the right. You're the one who told me about the that's on the Lake Erie, right? And that was just.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I remember you sending me the email. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I wanted to ask you a question. Well, you know what you just freaked me out about? The synchronicities with the numbers. I'm 53 with iodine, the 9 and the 9. I mean, all this stuff that you're telling is just fantastic.
Thank you.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So when you guys talk about water, cryptos over water, or
Water's above crypto, Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started doing the stock market last year. Okay, before I had kind of broken away for a while. My question to you is, because I use the stock market, I do use this methodology for the stock market. It's done me really well. When you do the stock market and you have your gut, okay, so what would be your gut as far as, like, I listened to somebody else other than myself, and I lost someone first time I had a major loss. What would you describe that as? Because somebody else is a YouTuber and they're telling you're on a group call, and they're you're right, but they convince you that you're wrong. What would that be in and then you don't listen to yourself, you listen to others. What would that be called? And how does one move past that?
Okay, that's a good. Well, I mean, I think that if you've seen patterns of success using your own intuition, then why would you even want to give that away? That's a gift, right? So even if you follow somebody who is who's very well acclaimed in their area of research, or whatever, doesn't mean that they're going to be right for you. And again, so you got to study yourself. Like, what's your track record? What are you here for? A lot of people on this planet that I feel that are not being the VIP that they should be. And they're just wasting
That's what
it.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. Well, myself, I was on, people were taking my research, and I was on other people's YouTubes, and I'm like, well, I just started doing it last February. But I of course, because I'm so new to it, and I was having a fantastic track record. The only reason why I didn't listen to my intuition is because of my novice ability. It would be kind of like I would listen to what you have to say, and then maybe take your judgment more because you have more years into what you're doing than I do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
But what I noticed is I had this with doing the stock market. I do get this gut feeling like I know I'm right. And I don't know what that would be called, that's my second brain talking to me saying, Susan, you know better than the person that's, you're on the call with, or, you know what I mean? Like, I almost felt like I was being talked out of my own intellect. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. I can totally follow what you're saying. Yeah.
What would that be called? Like, if anyone knows in the chat, or, because it's been bothering me, because, like, I think, well, is it fear? And then you got the FE and the AR, and am I having to be the Iron Man to move past it?
Well, I think, yeah, no, totally. Well, first and foremost, if you study your astrology chart, that's what this is the value of decoding who you are. All of you listening that resonate with this, where's your Chiron located at? That's going to maybe tell its story as to why you're maybe not moving towards your instincts and what the little voice in your head is telling you, and listening to other people. It could be the wound that you have to overcome. And once you see it in your chart and you identify with it, then you got to remove it. You got to get rid of it so it doesn't start to, peer its ugly head again to you. And so those are important layers. But if just being you conscious of that is something of value, and so the next time you end up following or listening to somebody and your little voice is nagging you to go the opposite direction, then if you're in the now moment, and since you're talking about this, it's in the now moment, you should move towards your intuition versus the person talking about it.
Got you. And I thought maybe that would help other people, because there's the gut, and I know all of us have done it, where we know we're like, well, I don't think that's the right move. And then you go with someone else because they have more knowledge, supposedly knowledge, and they don't, because, you know what I mean? Like, people are people, we're human beings. And sometimes people have, they get their egos involved and they want to be more than what they really are. So they'll lie because they want you to, they think you want to hear, they want to, they think that the lie is what you want to hear. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they'll be more popular.
Right.
So, that's the whole, I hope this helps someone else, because you just helped me a great deal.
Oh, well, I hope it helps. I'm sure it will help some people out I don't know how many listeners we have, but there's going to be thousands of people that'll watch and listen to this. So I'm sure you'll reach somebody that's going to pay attention and appreciate with what you're saying. So.
Well, have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night over there in the great state of Ohio. Wow, that's interesting. Besides the great content she just put out there, hopefully it'll help somebody. I'm sure it will. But Ohio's got the 33 area code. Why did they get that one? Think about these. These are the things I think about. I'm like, wow, how come they got that? I'm going to drop a truth bomb on all of you right now. Those of you that are decoders, Here's some nuggets for you. Here's some ammunition. I was watching this movie called Broken City. And Mark Wahlberg was in it. I think he's a good, I like watching him. I'm usually, he puts on a good show. So this movie came out, I think in 2013. I hadn't seen it. I'm like, wow, it's old. I hadn't seen it. So I turn it on, playing in the background, and it's ridiculous, the code. It's an antagonist, protagonist, superhero, villain. And the trigger for me was the police codes. So those of you that are decoders that have any spark of interest on this, what are the police codes? What do they say when they call in an armed robbery? What number is it? We got a 765 over here. We got a 211 over here. So I started to study the police codes. I started to study the police codes. And the one that attracted my attention was forgery, because in the movie Broken City, that's what the whole story was based on. And then I watched this movie last night called Catch Me If You Can. It was on forging checks. So I go in, what is the police code for forgery? What do you call in that? When you call into the station and you're calling in forgery, what number is it on the police codes? I know it's either one of these. It's either 740 or 470. And that's all I'm going to say. If you have any interest in decoding, go look at the police codes. Go start to study the police codes. It's so funny, man. So this forgery, man, it's either the 47 or the 74. And that's all I'm going to say about that. If you're interested, go check it out. It's hilarious, though. I started to I have this Broken City. I have it as a decode. I started decoding it because you have the jack in there, and it was Woody Harrelson in there, and he was going against this other guy. It's just hilarious how people are being used to play these characters. And their cards and their birth. Folks, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. All right. Well, I think I'm going to end my transmission here. It's 12:45. I'm getting up. Earlier than my usual. Like I have to actually get up at a certain time because I'm going out with the gang for the Syncretism Society tomorrow, and I like my sleep. So I'm going to pull one card for the group. I know I may have missed some of you that have asked for a card. I wanted to do some more phone calls, but I only get a few phone calls. It's interesting. But let me take because if I start pulling cards for one person, I got to start pulling them for everybody. That's just how it is, or at least for a lot of people. And I just didn't get around to do that. So. But let's do a conscious card pull. So I'm shuffling the cards. Let's get into the moment now. So what we're going to do is we're all going to put our thinking caps on. And I don't even think it even matters. I think the cards are just going to say what they want to say. But I'm going to put on this. Let's just see for fun. I don't know how this is going to come out. This is going to be a first time I've ever done this. But let's put on this song by Corey Hart. Here we go. All right. And I think this may become my theme song because Sunglasses is 35. I was born on the 35th day of the year. It's all the movies. And what does the 35 mean? What does this mean to you? Why are they wearing the sunglasses? Why are they wearing them at night? All the movies, they're wearing them in the freaking dark, man. So let's ask the tarot. Let's see if we can get a response from the tarot. So I'm going to play this song for about 30 seconds, and, let's see. Let's see what the tarot's going to say, collectively coming all together, all you and I and everybody else out there around the world, wherever you are. Let's see. Let's see what the tarot's going to say. So while I'm going to play this song, I'm going to shuffle the deck, and let's see if we can get an answer on what the hell does sunglasses mean. Let's see if we can figure it out. Here we go. 30 seconds or so.
I turn to her and say, don't switch the blade on the guy and shades of no. Don't masquerade with the guy and shades of no. I can't believe it, 'cause you've got a man with the guy and shades of no. I wear my sunglasses at night so I can forget my name while you collect your claim.
All right, so what the hell does he mean there? So I wear them at night so you can forget your pay. What the hell does that mean? It's just interesting when you start breaking down these lyrics. I do it so much too, and I broke down "Wicked Game," the song by Chris Isaacs, completely talking about this game being wicked and you're being used, and that's it. That's what he was saying, in my opinion. So let's see what we can get for all of you. This song is amazing. I'm an 80s fan, but let's see what we can get here. So I already shuffled the cards. I've already split them a few times. Let's go right to the middle of the deck, as I always do, so everybody can see how transparent I'm going to be. On the bottom, let's see what's on the bottom. Well, it's the King of Pentacles on the bottom, which, it could go so many different ways. Of course, the King of Pentacles is tied to the King of Diamonds, which is the 39th card. 39th tied to Lucifer and the Sun. So there's maybe something there. The sunglasses. Okay, so let's see what we get in the middle of the deck. I'm just going to keep them really tight. And let's see what the tarot's going to say. So tarot, tell us. Sunglasses at night. What's going on here? And I don't know what's going to happen, but let's just split this right down the middle. Here we go. There's the middle, kind of. And what do we get? We get the 39th card in the deck. 39's tied to Yttrium and the 88 in the Taurus fields, but remember that 39 is tied to Lucifer. So we have the King of Pentacles, which is the King of Diamonds, which is the 39th card in the deck. Then we actually get the 39th card in the deck on the tarot, which is the Three of Cups, which is tied to the word revelation in the Bible, in the biblical sense. So we have two allusions to the sun, and perhaps the incarnation process. And then let's get the top card here, the very back of the deck. What does this one got to say, like I always do? And so we get... Folks, I'm going to tell you something right now, man. I am completely being used, okay? Because this card right here is the card of the sun. It's the Six of Clubs, which is the Six of Wands, which is tied to the 28th card in the deck. Nickel, which is Devil's Copper, is 28. Lucifer is 28. Architect is 28. And this is the Six of Clubs. And the Six of Clubs... The Six of Clubs is from this card right here. There it is. And guess what the Six of Clubs card is? It's the 19th card in the deck. And what is the 19th card? in the tarot, it's the Sun card. Oh, man. I'm actually hot now because I'm laughing. And this is ridiculous. So let's summarize these. Oh man, I don't even know what to say. Where's my sun cards? We got 3 sun cards. There it is. So we had first the King of Pentacles at the bottom, and this is actually. Let me get the. Wow, I'm hot because I got to turn my AC on because I'm laughing. Let me get the King of Diamonds, and then we got the Three of Cups, which is the 39th card in the deck. So we got on the bottom, we had the king of, I'm sweating because I'm laughing so hard. So we got the king of pentacles at the bottom, sunglasses at night, tied to this is card number 77, by the way, or 78, tied to platinum and selenium, the moon. The moon's the partner of the sun. And then it's the king of diamonds, which is the 39th card in the deck, tied to yttrium, the number 88, and Lucifer. And then in the middle of the deck, we pulled the three of cups, which is card 39 in the tarot, going right back to that king of diamonds and the king of pentacles. This is revelation and celebration. And then we pulled at the very top of the deck, we've got the six of wands, which is card number 28, which is tied to nickel, devil's coffer, Lucifer, architect. And then we know that this is from the six of clubs. This is the 19th card. And what is the 19th card in the tarot? It's the sun card. Which is, this song is about sunglasses at night. Folks, I don't even know how I can even go further with what I just said. That's what the tarot is going to say. So there you go, folks. There's living proof right there. I did it right in front of your eyes, and I just did some magic in front of your eyes. So how would you wrap your mind around that? How else are we to describe what I just showed you? Well, you ask the tarot, what does sunglasses at night mean? And we pull three cards, all tied to Lucifer, devil's coffer, and the sun itself. What are you going to say with this, right, folks? This code is ridiculous. This is pretty funny. So there you have it. There you have it, folks. I wear my sunglasses at night, Corey Hart. Tied to Lucifer and the sun. Obviously, it's all tied to the sun. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious. So anyway, folks, there you go. There you go. There you have it. Another, what's your question? Number 29. And I appreciate each and every one of you, your donations, your Patreons. Very much appreciated. I love all of you. Remember to remain neutral. Don't force your agenda upon other people. Stay away from the static on the world stage as much as you can. Live in your own bubble. Live in your own world. Enjoy the life experience. It is the present moment. The gift that is what keeps giving. It's the gift of life. So that's all I got for today, folks. Until next time, see you later.